Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Brick Township Council to order. Madam Clerk.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on February 8, 2019. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspaper posted on the public bulletin boards in the township website.
Thank you. At this time, please silence or turn off your cell phones. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Here.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilman Mumolo.
Here.
Councilman Halloran.
Here.
Vice President Crate.
Here.
President Zapsik.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would everyone please stand for the flag salute and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the February 5th meeting. Motion?
Second.
Motion by Council Vice President Crate, seconded by Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our presentations. National Library Week, Council Vice President Crate. And Mayor, are you joining at the podium? Thank you.
So we'd like to welcome our public librarian here as we honor National Librarians Week. I should know as a librarian, but apparently we don't celebrate that in schools. So we have a proclamation from the council that I'd like to read. It says, today's libraries play an important role in providing a wealth of resources and information that can be used to enhance and enrich lives. And while books are a bountiful source, libraries also offer magazines and periodicals, journals, encyclopedias, films, music, internet access, a wide variety of programs and seminars, and their greatest resource, the knowledge and expertise of the well-trained staff of librarians. The citizens of Brick are fortunate to have the Brick branch of the Ocean County Library in our community to keep them informed and well-connected. The Brick branch of the Ocean County Library and its valuable staff are committed to fulfilling their important role in our community by ensuring that all residents, regardless of their race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status, have access to the services and resources that can transform lives and strengthen communities. The Brick branch of the Ocean County Library is joining the approximately 120,000 libraries across the United States in celebrating National Library Week, April 7th through 13th, with the theme, Libraries Equal Strong Communities. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, and the State of New Jersey, that we join Mayor John G. Ducey in recognizing April 7th through 13th, 2019 as National Library Weeks in the Township. Thank you.
All right, so our library here, it's Ocean County Library, but it's our Brick branch. They do all sorts of programs, so I know a lot of people who are sitting out there, listening and watching at home. You might think that libraries are about books, but it's much more than that. It's an information hub, so you can, there's books, there's programs, there's movies you can rent if you don't, obviously there's no Blockbusters or anything like that anymore, and if you don't have Netflix and you still have a VCR or a DVD player, they rent those out. There's also all sorts of programs from little kids on up, and there's computers. So if you don't have your own computer at home, you have the ability to go there, and even if you're a senior and you have never even used a computer before, you can go there and use them and check them out and try to figure out what the heck a computer is. So it's all great programs and services that our library and every library provides. For all the reasons that Council Vice President Crate said, as well as we're about to hear, I, John G. Ducey, the Mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean in the State of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim the week of April 7th through April 13th, 2019 to be National Library Week.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Nancy Bontavoyko. I'm the branch manager of the library, the Brick branch of the Ocean County Library right next door. Our library really does strengthen and transform this community. We help out with so many aspects. Mayor Ducey just touched the tip of the iceberg, from technology to job resources, materials for English language learners. We have GED classes. We have English as a second language classes. We have musical concerts, a variety of musical concerts, art programs, chair yoga programs. We have a teen advisory board where teens can get involved and get community service hours and be involved in making decisions at the library, what kind of book clubs they want to have, or what kind of activities and programs they want to have. So National Library Week is April 7th to 13th, but we want you to visit the Brick branch all the time, and we really appreciate that you support us so much. You not only can borrow, if you're an Ocean County resident, you know it's free. With identification, you can get a library card. And we want to see every resident have a library card. We're trying to get a library card in the hands of every student. We're in the middle of a very big educational outreach where the librarians are going to every school in the community of Brick to reach out to get the kids library cards. So it's not just about borrowing books. I love books, don't get me wrong. You can stream movies. You can download free audio ebooks to your Kindle or whatever device you have. You can learn computers. Again, what the mayor said was correct. If you don't know how to use a computer, we have everything from basic mouse skills to how to do a podcast, how to do an Excel spreadsheet. We can teach you that, and it's free. We have over 110 databases where you can learn things. You can take classes through the library with your library card for free, sometimes getting adult education credits. And we're going out to the schools to teach the teachers and the students how to use that. They can get free homework help. They can get tutoring. They can get help with testing for college. There's so much. So coming up, visit the library in April because we have a program on March 30th. We have Women in Tea in the Victorian Era, a few things that we have coming up. Judith Carl Russo will be doing that. We have the OCL Puppet Show players, a lot of kids programs. They're going to be doing How to Be a T-Rex on April 5th in the morning. A lot of kids programs coming up because we're going to have some time off for the Easter break on April 11th. Before that, we have Cats All Ability Sing-Along. Kids of all abilities are welcome. Special needs, their siblings, come and sing along. April is also Jazz Month, so if there's any jazz fans out there, we have Veronica Manyweather doing the songs of Sarah Vaughan, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald. That's going to be on Saturday, April 13th. She's awesome. We've had her before. If you're a business person, you want to learn better communication skills, come to the library on the 23rd. Tuesday night, we'll have Nicole Paccio-Deo to teach you about communication skills. We have family yoga. I'm also a certified yoga teacher, so I'll be teaching yoga there as well. We have a senior care discussion panel coming up at the end of April, an informational panel. We've assembled professionals to talk about retirement, estate planning. Certified financial planners and specialists will be coming to help you answer those questions. And then to start off Wellness Month in Mental Health Awareness Month in May, we have a special program on May 2nd on stress, sleep, and sound. So there's so much going on. Please, I just zipped through it right now. We have so much, but come, give me a call. My name is Nancy. I'm the branch manager, and we will help you with any of your informational needs. We love having you guys visit the library, and I thank everybody for giving me the time to talk today. Thank you.
Next, we have our Student of the Month presentation, Council Vice President Crate and the Mayor.
Let that be a real-time reminder to silence or turn off your cell phones. Sorry about that. I apologize. I really missed that. Each month, the mayor and council likes to take the time to congratulate the students of the month for both Brick Memorial and Brick Township High School. These students have achieved significant academic success for the month, and we are happy and proud to acknowledge their achievements. So congratulations to each and every one of you, and I'd like to start with the Brick Township High School students. For Students of the Month for February 2019, for grade 9, we have Salim Fahad. You can come up if you're here. Sean Doyle for grade 10. Tyler Cusack for grade 11. And for grade 12, we have Madison Hernandez.
Just the mayor.
I can't read.
No.
And for Brick Memorial High School, for grade 9, we have Anthony Martino and Cara Musto. For grade 10, we have Trenton Burton and Charles Murata. For grade 11, we have Brianna Solomon and Matthew Nugent. And for grade 12, we have Raymond Lapointe and Victoria Beck. Oh, no. Sorry. We're good.
Okay, we're going to move on to ordinance on first reading. Madam Clerk?
Calendar year 2019 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-4514.
Thank you very much. There's no public hearing on the first reading of an ordinance. Ms. Bergen?
Yes, thank you. This allows the township to establish a cap bank for future use. This ordinance allows for increases to budget appropriations and allows the township to bank any unused monetary room. This cap bank ordinance allows the township to increase budget appropriations by 3.5% over the prior year appropriations and to bank any unused appropriation room for the next 2 succeeding years. By having a cap bank, we have appropriation room to handle disasters. This ordinance is simply precautionary. It is not funded through a tax increase since it is only used in subsequent years should we need to fund a one-time expenditure. The only time in recent years the township used this was to fund emergency response for Superstorm Sandy. We are not generating cash. We are creating the ability to raise money should we need it. If the funds are not needed in the succeeding 2 years, the bank is simply dissolved.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontorero, seconded by Councilman Mumolo. Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Tonight's budget presentations will be Dan Santinello for the Recreation Department and Chief Riccio for the Police Department. I'd like to invite them to come up at this point.
Oh, jeez, we'll get it.
Santinello, whenever you are ready.
All right. Well, first off, I'd like to thank Mayor Ducey, Council President Zapchik, Council Vice President Kate, members of the council and administration. On behalf of the recreation staff, I am pleased to present our 2019 budget. A little background about us. Recreation, including our township beaches and Traders Cove Marina, served over 300,000 individuals this past year. Through our special events, camps, recreational sports, early childhood classes, beaches, and marina. The Recreation Department's mission is to improve the quality of life for all Brick Township residents through the provision of high-quality recreation facilities and a wide variety of programs that promote a healthy and enriching lifestyle. The goal of our entire staff is to foster a greater sense of community while enhancing the social, cultural, and physical well-being of the citizens of Brick Township and the visitors to our community. Recreation also coordinates and manages special events including Summerfest concerts, Fall Fest, Farmers Market, Kite Fest, Movies in the Park, Cultural Arts Series including the concerts and drive-in movies at Windward Beach. Recreation staff plays a key role in implementing of programs and events hosted by the Mayor's Teen Advisory Committee and assists in the operation of Lounge 270, otherwise as the Teen Center. Staff manages a variety of fun events for families, including the Mom and Herd Little Prince Ball, Kids to Parks Day, the annual Memorial Day Parade, Kids Night Out, and Touch a Truck, Fishing Derby, 9/11 Remembrance, annual Craft and Yard Sale, Trunk or Treat, the Polar Express movie event, annual menorah lighting, Christmas tree lighting, and Daddy-Daughter Dance. The Recreation Department oversees a youth service program for youths in grades 6 through 12 who want to make a difference in the community. Community Youth Service Program volunteers assist recreation staff at events throughout the year and participates in activities such as parks and beach cleanups. We also offer a comprehensive Challenger program. Founded in 1998, the Brick Challenger program provides young people with physical and intellectual disabilities with opportunities to participate in athletic and social programs including summer and winter camp, bowling, basketball, baseball, dances, the Autism Surf Day, and Halloween Fest. Our township lifeguards and badge checkers provide beachgoers with a clean, safe, and well-managed beach throughout the summer season. We are excited for the upcoming season because once again, we will get to enjoy our large sandy beaches as Army Corps has finished with the replenishment project in Brick Township. Our professional, well-trained lifeguards continue to be recognized as one of the best in the area. The recreation staff also oversees a comprehensive state-certified preschool program, which is offered at the Recreation Department, also the Civic Plaza, and that is Bright Start program for ages 3 to 4-year-olds, and the Jump Start program, which is ages 4 to 5-year-olds. Both classes have 22 students each. Additionally, we also do a Mommy and Me, which also is a Dad and Me too. And that is for ages 6 to 18 months, and First Time on My Own program for 2-year-olds. There are about 15 children in these programs. Combining all of our 4 early childhood programs, we have over 120 little ones attending yearly. The salaries for the teachers are not included in the salary and wage budget and come directly out of the rider as they are offset by program fees. The recreation staff consists of 7 full-time employees and 50 seasonal employees. The overall budget, including salary and wages as well as operating expenses, has decreased 3.4%. Brick Beaches and Traders Cove. Our beach staff includes 66 lifeguards, 20 badge checkers, and 20 maintenance workers, including Windward Beach and the marina, all of which are part-time. The salary and wage budget for 2019 is 0.5% higher than last year, and this is due to the increase in the hourly rate for returning lifeguards. We have about 60 guards returning from last year. The operating account and overtime budget for 2019 has remained flat from last year. Overtime is only used when our college kids, go back to school, and, we must have covered shifts to ensure we have proper coverage at each beach. Traders Cove Marina and Park provided our boating community with a variety of marine facilities. Traders Cove is equipped with concrete floating docks, transient slips, a double-wide boat ramp, jet ski ports, a canoe and kayak launch area, kayak and stand-up paddleboard storage, a large playground, and public restrooms. The rental and use of the transient slips has increased with the opening of our transient boating facility, which offers showers, laundry facility, and a lounge area for boaters in need of those services. This spot is proven to be essential to those boaters traveling the intercoastal waterways. In 2018, Traders Cove Marina and Park generated $204,875.29 in net revenue, which is an increase of $51,622.89 from 2017. This summer, all 120 boat slips have been rented, an increase from 2015, which was 113. This equates to a $21,865 increase in revenue just from slips. Our revenue for winter storage also has increased about $9,214. The boat ramp continues to be very popular and more accessible thanks to our implementation of use of credit cards. The 2018 revenue from boat ramp was $43,810, which is an increase of $10,060 from 2015 and a $3,810 increase from last year. The marina also offered jet ski ports, and of the 24 ports, all of them will be rented this summer. The marina houses the Township 2 police boats, which are used from May to September to police our waterways. We also house the 2 pump-outs boats, which is funded by Ocean County. In conclusion, I would like to thank the recreation staff for your hard work throughout the year. We greatly appreciate the support of Mayor Ducey, the Township Council, our business administrator, and look forward to another great year of programs, services, and special events for our families.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to the police presentation, and then I'll open it up for questions. Chief Riccio.
Sure. Good evening. The Department of Public Safety is comprised of several areas of responsibility. In addition to traditional police services, the department is also responsible for the management of police dispatchers, special police, emergency medical services, emergency management, crossing guards, and a number of community-oriented programs such as the Police Cadets, the DARE program, Not Even Once, program Lead and Seed, CERT, Neighborhood Watch, and the Blue Heart program. Most recently, we started 2 new initiatives, which are Cops and Clergy and Because We Care, which are also being run out of our Community Policing Division. As of tonight, the department is staffed with 270 employees, 140 sworn officers, 24 full-time and 4 part-time communications operators, 28 full-time and 15 part-time EMS personnel, 19 crossing guards, 23 Class 1 special officers, 1 civilian deputy emergency management coordinator, 1 radio technician, 1 fleet maintenance worker, and 14 civilian clerical staff. Part-time staff members are used to support the full-time staff members as well as to reduce overtime costs. In 2018, the department handled 87,493 calls for service, which is nearly 1,200 more calls than handled in 2017. This included 1,785 fire calls and 9,899 first aid calls. Our communications operators handled 115,651 phone calls which came into the communication center. I will go through each of the department's budgets and highlight any significant changes. Most of the budget line items have remained the same. However, some changes were made taking into account the previous year's spending or those required based upon the current collective bargaining agreement. The first area we will discuss is the main police budget. This year, the regular salary and overtime request is $19,460,000, an increase of $440,680 from last year. It should be noted that the salaries of our clerical and support personnel are also charged to the police salary line item. In 2018, we budgeted $1,125,000 for police overtime. Of that, we spent $950,928. That is $174,072 less than what was budgeted, and $277,930 less than what was spent in 2016 before we changed our patrol schedule. The requested budget amount for overtime will remain the same at $1,125,000. Although I do not anticipate any significant increase in overtime spending, I need to plan for situations which could arise, such as weather events and any other large-scale incident which could result in the need for overtime. The police supervision and command staff will continue to be conscientious of the need to reduce and keep overtime costs under budget. The police general operating budget for 2018 was $189,950. Of that budget, we expended $187,074.54, which is $2,875.46 less than what was budgeted. This year, we're asking for $2,001.100. This slight increase is to account for the purchase of uniforms and an anticipated increase in the cost of ammunition. The next area we'll discuss is police dispatch. In 2018, $1,380,000 was allocated for dispatcher salaries. In 2019, the request is for $1,465,000, an $85,000 increase. In 2018, we budgeted $140,000 for overtime, and of that amount, we spent $174,736, $34,736 more than what was budgeted. This increase can be attributed to our losing dispatchers and having to fill that void with personnel on overtime. In 2019, we'll be allocating $180,000. It should be noted that we have since replaced those employees that we had lost in 2018. However, we want to account for the possibility of losing positions through turnover or unforeseen absences. There are only 3 remaining dispatch budget items. They are $2,000 for training, $500 for uniforms, and $100 for dues. This is a $250 increase from last year and is in anticipation of sending more dispatchers to specialized training and the need to purchase additional uniform items. The next area is special police. We currently have 23 Class 1 special officers, which are now being used as booking officers and for courtroom security. This represents an increase of 2 officers since last year, which is less than a full complement. In 2018, we allocated $255,000 for special police salaries, and of that spent $229,772. This year, we're asking for $260,000. The increase will account for the anticipation of hiring up to a full complement of 25 officers, as well as time spent for additional duty assignments such as council and board meeting security details. The overtime budgeted in 2018 was $8,500, of which we spent $5,308. We will be reducing the amount of overtime monies allocated to $8,000. The only other line items in the special police budget are for uniforms and equipment. In 2018, we allocated $9,725 for uniforms and equipment, and in 2019 we'll be increasing the uniform line item by $775. The increase is in anticipation of hiring 2 additional officers, bringing us to the full complement of 25 officers. Our next budget is emergency management. Last year we budgeted $54,500 for OEM salaries. This year we'll be allocating $57,000. It should be noted that a portion of the salary is paid for by grant monies which are received at different times throughout the year. In 2018, we budgeted $1,000 for OEM overtime and only spent $245, so we'll be reducing the OEM overtime budget to $500. The only other item in the OEM budget is $500 to be used for training, which will remain the same. Our next area is the Police Cadet program, formerly known as the Police Explorers. This program currently has 20 participants who are overseen by 3 of our officers who are the program counselors. This program gives children from our community an opportunity to interact with the police in a positive way, while at the same time giving them the ability to see if they may want to pursue a career in law enforcement. In 2018, we budgeted $6,500, and this year we are decreasing that amount by $2,500. Those monies will be used to send the participants to the annual competition and to pay for things such as dues and uniforms. We were able to reduce the budget by transitioning to the cadet program, which costs less for annual dues. The next budget is police vehicles. These monies are used to replace aging cars which are used by the patrol division. In most cases, the older patrol cars, which are still serviceable, are repurposed in non-patrol units within the department. In 2018, we budgeted $295,500, and for this year, we are requesting $307,950. The increase is in anticipation of a rising cost. The next area to discuss is the emergency medical services. Last year, we budgeted $1,805,000 for EMS salaries and overtime of $250,000. It should be noted that the salaries for the part-time EMTs are charged to the overtime line item, but at a straight-time rate, not at an overtime rate. This year, we are asking that $2,202,000 be budgeted for EMS salaries, and $250,000 again be allocated for EMS overtime. It should be noted that in 2018, EMS service generated $2,109,649.04 in gross revenue, which is a $360,474.42 increase from what was collected the previous year. In 2018, the EMS operating budget was funded at $279,650. Of that amount, we spent $259,385. $20,000, $264 less than what was budgeted. With what was collected in net revenue, it cost $63,912.11 to operate the EMS unit. In 2019, we are asking that $278,100 be budgeted for the operating budget, which is a $1,550 decrease from last year. Additionally, we have met with state EMS and hospital officials, and we are working toward a plan to start a paramedic program. If we are successful, this would mean greater medical service for our citizens, as well as added revenue to support the program. The next budget is crossing guards. Last year, we budgeted $430,000 in crossing guard salaries and $2,000 for overtime. 2019, we are asking that $430,000 be budgeted for salaries, and again, $2,000 for overtime. The only other line item associated with the crossing guards is uniforms and safety equipment. We're asking that $12,100 be budgeted for uniforms and equipment, a $1,600 increase from last year. The increase will allow us to replace aging traffic wands and lights needed to keep our guards visible. That concludes my budget presentation for my department. I would like to take the opportunity to thank the mayor, members of the council, and the business administrator for your continued support. Without that, we would not be as successful a department as we are today. I would like to thank the men and women of my department who work very hard each and every day to keep our residents safe.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Open to council for questions or comments on the budget presentations.
Yes, we're going to start with recreation? Or
Wherever you want to start.
okay, recreation we'll start with. Okay. 1 second. Bear with me here. The preschool, that's new. We got a grant for that from the state, and the town has.
We don't get a grant for our early childhood program?
Oh, it says here, recreation childhood. Second. It says preschool program which offers in the recreation department. Is there any grant for that?
No, they pay a fee, the residents pay a fee, so, you know, the salary and wages come out of the fee that the residents pay for.
Okay. And also the mayor's teen advisory committee, I guess it's at the operation of the lounge at 270, that lounge there. How is that staffed?
Right now, we have 2 part-time employees staffing it, and one of them do come out of BMAC, and they join up together with BMAC and the teen center, and then the other one comes out of the rec rider, the other salary.
Okay, how often is that used?
Right now, we have it open 2 days a week with special events on weekends. The special events on weekends is very popular. We could have crowds up to 200 people there.
Thank you. I do have some questions in the budget book. He doesn't have a book. You can answer for him? Okay.
there's no page numbers again, so. It's regular salaries. It's up $17,176. Is that just to, there's any new employees?
Councilor Fosman, is this recreation?
Yes, it
Okay.
says regular salaries.
There are 7 full-time employees that are covered under the salary and wage budget for recreation.
So the
There are new employees that are replacing, it's the same roster is still 7. There are different employees there,
So there's new employees?
replacing employees that are no longer with us.
And does that cover the part-time employees?
The part-time employees are covered in the salary and wage line item.
Okay. It says recreation, it says here in the notes, it says pool for swim team. We
What-
paying $15,000 for that. We got a budget for 16. Can you explain that?
Yeah, is this, what line item is this? The
Uh,
rental?
It says rental.
215, Dan.
Yeah, 215,
215.
as we budgeted 16,000, and out of the 16,000, that's for porta-johns. It is our pool rental over at Pine Grove. And, the porta-johns are for, some of our special events or sporting facilities that, the one main bathroom can't handle the crowds.
Okay, that's fine. Awards, trophies, and engraving, I see it almost doubled. And that, is there a reason for that? Because last
241.
year we spent $350 and we're bringing it up to $650. Is just curious to why.
Yes, we got rid of one of the line items here. Let me see which one. So, yeah, for last year we had on the food was, the actually line item 248, there's 0 budgeted for that.
Okay.
And, since we have our swim team awards banquet, it was food and awards. So now it's all under 241.
Okay, with that there, I have recreation special events. That went up from $300 to $800, and it says there, in a notation, swim team party, preschool events, and wrestling banquet. That went up to $800. And
Yes,
that's
and
$218.
And that is because we have, the wrestling program is new, and we didn't have that, so this is a new program. And then the preschool events, they were coming out of the rider account, which they're going to be coming out of 218 special events.
Okay, thank you. And
Councilman
That's all I
Fosman, can I
have.
just clarify the salary and wage? The budget for recreation went down 3.6%. Did I,
I have here $740,000.
correct?
year
And last year's budget
was
request
$722.
No, I'm sorry. It was 768. 722 is what was actually spent. But last year's budget was 768. This year is 740. So we decreased the amount we put in this year because we didn't spend the 768.
So the 722 is with overtime?
The 722 is the actual amount spent in salary and wages. The overtime budget is the next one down, where he asked for $3,000 last year and actually spent $2,797. So based on that, he asked for less this year. Instead of $3,000, he asked for $2,500. So
Yes, I see
overall,
that.
the budget came down 3.6%. Neither of these line items went up. There was no increase.
So 3,000 onto 722. That's 725, and we're asking for 740. So how's that a decrease?
Because the amount we asked for last year, the total of the two was 771, and this year we're asking for 742,500. So the difference is, what did you ask for last
I
year,
don't
and
have
what are you asking for
771
this year?
here anywhere.
771 is under the control total for 2018, It's, the first one is regular salaries, the second one is overtime, the third one,
Regular
which is all the zeros, is adjustments, and then the control total is the total for both. And that is 771, which was requested
Here it
last
is.
year, and this year's request is 742,500, which is a decrease of 3.6%.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I have. Thank you.
For the police?
Oh, yes, please, yes. Definitely. Um, 223, that's towing, police towing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I noticed last year we only used $494, and in 2017, we used $2,143. Is that because Public Works has their own tow truck now? Is that why it decreased that much?
I don't think that that's the actual, what actually attributed to it. It's just, we can never account for how many cars we're going to end up towing.
I thought Public Works had the tow truck, and that was
Well, they do,
okay.
but honestly, most of our tows involve the drug unit, and they're after hours, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you only used 500 last year, and you're asking for the same amount. That's fine. I was just curious why it went down.
It's one of those line items that we can't ever anticipate how much work they're going to actually have.
On dispatcher 911 regular salaries, I see that did, from what I see, under regular salaries, it was $144,000 more. And the overtime did use, I know when you were talking, you said that you had people that were gone and you had to fill it with overtime.
Correct.
But the regular salaries are 144. It was 144 more this year. So why is that?
Well, we're up to a full complement right now.
Okay, so should our overtime decrease then?
I would think so, but we kept it the same because, again, we can't anticipate.
Okay, I'm just curious. All right. It says emergency management regular salaries. Just to clarify that. It's $57,000. Is that just for when they come in, if there's emergency in the building, that just pays them, or they're someone on regular salary, or how does that work?
We have one OEM coordinator. He works 35 hours a week, and that's his salary.
Okay.
Which is partially offset by a grant.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else from council? Councilwoman Pontoriero?
Just for a moment. Mr. Santiago, I just wanted, let's make sure that's on. Oh, that's better. I just wanted to clarify. When we're talking about new employees, we're only really talking about replacing employees that we've lost, right?
Yes, that's correct. We're still at, what we were last year. We didn't
Okay.
hire anyone new. It's just replacing the bodies that we lost.
We're not over the number that we had.
No.
Thank you both for all of your hard work and effort in each of your respective departments. Thank you. That's all
Councilwoman
I
Dion?
have.
Yes, I would just like to thank you too for the thorough presentation that you guys give. You always put together all the numbers, all the line items. It makes it a lot easier to follow along in the blue book when we're going through everything and reading all our lines. And you two, your departments always seem to have the most events and the most going on, and we always ask you to do more with less, and you guys keep bringing the budget where it's supposed to be. So thank you so much for all of your hard work. Please thank all of the officers and all of your staff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from council? Okay. Seeing none, close council, open to the public for questions on the budget presentations. Mr. Sluka?
Dan, could you turn that around?
Yep.
Thank you. Want it back here? Good?
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. Let me see if I wrote my question. Oh, the pre-K, which is pre-K and whatever those other 2 or 3 other items were. It's not being funded, but if the Board of Education, I remember them telling us that we now started a pre-K program that's funded by the state. Isn't that, you know, why aren't we doing that being funded by the state? Why aren't we putting people, I mean, somebody's got to pay for it, obviously.
The Board of Ed is not what, we offer. We offer something a little bit different. A lot of these parents don't want to have the busing at age 3 years old. So now the residents, have a choice. They can do the Board of Ed run preschool, or they can come to the township run preschool, which, we were very popular throughout the years. Every single year we're, have a wait list basically. So I don't see why we would lose our clientele, because they're 2 different programs.
Okay. Sort of with that in mind then, are we, because of the combination of what you're doing and the combination of what the Board of Ed is now doing, are we hurting some of our individual small businesses that do pre-K type programs? Or if we haven't looked into that, or it doesn't really matter, or we have that many kids in this, I just can't imagine, because we're losing so many children in the school district, that we are now adding people into our programs that, without taking away from somewhere else. I don't know if it will hurt our small businesses or not, but to me it sounds like they would lose a little bit into this system. But that's fine. Okay. Unless you have an idea on that.
I mean, this will be the first year that we're
You're
running
doing
at the
it.
same time as the Board of Ed, but all of our programs are either a little bit in the positive or, right at breaking even. So it's not, towards the taxpayers of Brick Township.
It's not
programs.
costing the taxpayer. I was more concerned about the individual businesses.
No, exactly. I don't know exactly how
Yeah,
it's going to
there's
play out this year.
No way to really judge it yet. Okay. The other thing is, watch this for the police one. You ready? Now that I see all these police people standing around the Board of Ed and the council meetings, are we in some kind of danger all of a sudden that we weren't in for the last 40 years? Because we've had one person in the back for years, and now we have quite a few. I don't think I'm a threat, but I'm not sure, Okay, just want to know why we're doing that at the Board of Ed and at this council meeting.
Actually, we're not doing it at the Board of Ed. There was one meeting about 12 days ago where we were asked to, because they thought that there might be some unruly parents, and we actually just sent the district car over there.
Oh, so that wasn't new.
It wasn't.
That was just a one-time.
No, and that's not going to be a regular thing.
Okay.
It was for that particular
And
meeting.
here is because...
Well, here, we're in rough times now, and we want to make sure that everybody's protected. So.
Okay, it just seemed like 1, 2, 3, right? It seemed like a lot to me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Comments on the budget presentations? Mr. Finelli?
Glad you turned this around. I was going to have a hard time reaching. Vic Finelli, Meadow Point Drive. First Recreation, just a quick question. I heard your answer about the preschool, and you said there were differences. Could you tell me what the differences are?
Well, one of them is, what the Board of Ed is running. It's a full-day preschool, and it's transportation. So a lot of the parents that we have over at Rec have showed concern that, they don't want to have their child go on the bus at, 3 years old when they'll be going full-time at 5 years old. So ours is only 2.5 hours. It is state certified, but, the Board of Ed is going to be a much longer day for these little ones.
Okay, and how do the kids get to yours? Parents drop them off?
The parents, yes.
Okay, so there is, it's only 2.5 hours. One other comment. You certainly have a good story to tell over at the marina. 120 slips, all sold, all in. So you don't have to look it up, but this is an attaboy. Good job, all right?
Thank you.
See, everything's increasing. Are you anticipating more increases?
Yes, we actually have, this year we rented all the jet ski slips, which is all 24 of them.
Right.
So, and same thing with all the boat slips. They all will be rented this year as well.
All right.
And kudos to Kevin Burge and his staff.
Okay. So you anticipate more revenue, you can't sell more slips, you can't, so how are you going to increase the revenue?
The increase in revenue we should get from transient slips, the rental of all 24 jet ski ports, which they weren't all rented, and also our winter storage. We always hope to get a couple more boats on the property.
Well, good job, thank you. I try to look for good things to say. Very easy.
Thanks.
Okay, some questions for the chief. First of all, I got your presentation, but some of what I read and some of what you said don't match. So if I say something that's not right, we'll clear it up, all right?
Okay.
On page 2, you anticipated an increase in the cost of ammunition. Why are you anticipating that, number one?
Because it goes up every year.
The what?
It goes up just about every year.
It goes up just about every year?
Yeah.
So you're anticipating how much of it, $14,000? That has nothing to do with all the taxes and fees that the governor is going to put on ammunition and guns and everything?
I don't know what the governor's going to do, but we're also increasing the amount of shoot time that the officers have. We started that actually last year. So officers that might not be as good of a shot as others, we're offering them extra range time.
Okay. I don't remember the number, but I was pretty amazed at how much you actually spend on ammo. Would you happen to have that number?
It's very expensive.
Being a gun person, I have a pretty good idea what ammunition costs.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have it, that's all right.
Well, I know what we budgeted and about what we spent, but yeah, we spend around $30,000 a year.
30,000? I thought it was higher than that. Just a question on my comment. If the governor raises all those fees, and I think he's going to because the marijuana thing didn't get passed, are you exempt from that, or does you have to pay all the tax increases just like everybody else?
Yeah, again, I don't know what he's going to do. I really can't speak for him. But most of the time, I don't see anything trickling down to locals in regard to savings, so I would imagine that we're going to pay.
So, you didn't answer my question. The governor put out a memo that he's going to raise fees, he's going to raise taxes on gun purchases, he's going to raise taxes on ammunition, he's going to raise taxes on getting gun permits, everything. Astronomical raises. My question is, if he raises the taxes on all of those things, as a municipality, are you exempt from paying taxes, or do you have to pay the same taxes everybody else does? I'll look over there for an answer.
It would depend on the legislation. So, for example, there's times where, for example, I'll give you a quick one. The minimum wage. So for years, towns, counties, state were all exempt from the minimum wage, but with the new minimum wage that just passed, towns are included. So you never know what the legislation says.
Okay.
Until it comes out.
Okay. I'll answer that. You spent $34,736 more in dispatch overtime than you budgeted last year. So where did that money come from? Where did the $34,000 come from? You paid it out. Where did it come from?
We do budget transfers, starting in November at the end of the year in areas where we need money and look to where we didn't spend.
So then there really is no need to increase the overtime budget based on something that you think might happen, because you have the money somewhere if you need it. That's my question.
No.
Why do you want to increase the overtime? Because of what might happen.
You should put in what you think you're going to need. You shouldn't put in a low ball amount thinking you're going to find it somewhere else, because that creates hardship for us. It's not a fiscally sound way to budget.
But his exact words, what might happen. And my point is, what might happen and might not, but the money's better in my pocket than it is in yours. If you have a safety valve to get the money for something that might happen, then use your money for what might happen, not my money for what might happen. That's my point. You mentioned the council meetings, and I guess you answered one question, but you didn't answer all three of them. First of all, you said that the person that was at the school board meeting last week, which happened to be Officer Finelli, she was there because the school board requested them because they thought there might be some unruly.
The school administration had requested them.
Because they thought there might be some unruly people at the meeting?
That's correct.
Okay, there was nothing on the agenda that would have caused me to think it was unruly, but my problem was, and I guess it's not my problem or your problem, it's their problem. I asked that exact question at the school board meeting last week, and the answer I got was, she just happened to be here, which was a lie, all right? And then later on in the meeting, I asked again, I didn't like your answer for the question, so why is there an officer here for the whole meeting? And the answer I got was, I don't want to talk about it. So you gave an answer, thank you. I'll go back to the school board and say, why couldn't you say that? You didn't answer the question of why we now have 5 people here. That was the second question that was asked. We have 3 people outside. Vinnie's here for 10 years. Now we have another officer here. I won't count all these people because I guess they're here for the presentation. We have 1 there and 1 there. What's the reason for that?
Well, some of those officers are special officers. They're not full-time police officers.
I know them. Those 3 back there. We always had Vinnie. Now we have Vinnie plus 2 more, I guess, to work the equipment. They're still here. Now we have another officer here and another officer here. Why is that?
We just upgraded the security at different meetings, that's all.
Why?
Because just in anticipation of, you see what's going on around us. God forbid something was to happen. I want to make sure that our people are protected.
And I might agree with you over at the school board, but I certainly don't agree with it when you've got the other side of the wall, all the officers that you have. You've got people in here now that are getting paid. They're here. It didn't increase by 1, you increased by 2. I don't think that's being very cost conscious. And unless there's something going on that we don't know about, nobody wants to talk about, I think it's a little overkill, and I'm not the only one.
God forbid something happens, you'll be thanking me.
Something could happen anywhere. You know that, Chief.
Absolutely.
Anywhere at all. I mean, you could put all the security you want in the school system, and somebody decided, well, let me shoot up a school bus. You can't prevent everything, but it's a cost increase. It's more money. And if there's no actual reason for it other than let's do it, then let's look at it again and say, do we really need it? And the reason I'm concerned and I'm asking about this, because back in 2012, we had 12 special officers in the township. Now we have 25. That's an increase of over 100%. We also had 126 what you call sworn officers. We now have 140. That's an increase of 14 more. And it just keeps going up, and water rises to its own level. EMS. According to what I have here, it's an increase of $356,000, but I think you said in your presentation, I'm looking at page 4 in your presentation. I have $1,596,000 in EMS salaries, but I think I heard you say $1,805,000 in EMS salaries. Which number is correct?
1,805.
Okay, so this 1,596 is not correct?
No.
Okay. Because I was going to ask the next question of why do we have a 22% increase in salary,
No.
but it's not that much. I don't have to ask that question. I had a question about, just go back to the dispatchers. Do the dispatchers wear uniforms?
They have uniforms available to them when they go to schools and different events.
Oh, so they don't wear them normally?
Not necessarily, every day when they're in there.
They have dispatched fleece jackets because the room gets very cold, so they do like to wear them. It's only mandatory and required that they wear them when they go to outside trainings, but they do wear them to work daily.
I'm getting you. Just to clarify one other point. When I read this, I saw the money that was spent for school crossing guards and equipment, and I said to myself, what equipment do they have besides a sign that says stop? But I think you talked about some other things, because my question was, based on the amount of money that you had there for school crossing guards, for uniforms and whatnot, it came out to like $646 a person for school crossing uniforms, which really? That sounds like a lot of money, but There was other equipment involved? Or could you?
Yeah, the wands, the stop signs.
Flares.
Yeah, all of that stuff, and it adds up.
Okay. 637, what it came out to was $637 per person. The reason I get into all the nitties, as I said before, I'm not happy with a small increase in the budget. I'm not happy with no increase in the budget. I'll be very happy when we start to decrease the budget, right? But when we keep adding and keep adding and keep adding, this budget is the biggest part of your budget. So when we make random decisions to have more people stand around and watch meetings and whatnot with really not a reason, just a God forbid if something happened reason, I think we really need to look at that and say, can we afford to be spending the extra amount of money to try to prevent something that might not happen but hasn't happened in whatever. I mean, I've never in 10 years seen the necessity for a full-time patrol officer at a school board meeting. But we had one last week, and there really was nothing controversial going on at the meeting at all. I mean, it wasn't like they were talking about, so somebody asked and you supplied my point of view, not a very good reason to have somebody who's supposed to be out on patrol spending 4 hours at a school board meeting. That's just me.
Thank you. Anyone else with questions or comments on the budget presentation? Mr. Scott.
Good evening.
Good evening.
George Scott, Queen Anne Road. I'd like to start with recreation. Okay, as far as the recreation budget is concerned, I too follow the numbers, as you all know. I did make a call on Monday. Mr. Sentinel was not available. But I got to say, his assistant, Christina, who I spoke to on the phone, was very professional, very informative. He should be proud of the job that she does. With that said, Dan got back to me the very next day with the questions that I had proposed to Christina. The several people that came up, one big thing was the program for the little ones. I talked to Dan about that in length. The answer that I got totally satisfied me. It is self-sustaining, doesn't cost the taxpayer a dollar, so I don't see where anybody would object to that. The proof of the pudding is, he said tonight there's a waiting list that shows the success of it, so I say job well done. I see somebody else in the audience that works for recreation. Madeline Aronis here. I spoke to Dan about the Challenger program. I have a special needs granddaughter. I think it's a very good program. When we started, it's a lot of years. Both Dan and I agreed, again, money well spent. I hope that continues to go the way it is. One thing that I did notice, in 2018, Traders Cove had a net revenue of $204,875 and change. I spoke to Dan about this. It is a moneymaker. The only thing I didn't ask him, which is not fair to ask him tonight, so I'll ask you the chair because I'm sure the business administrator is going to answer this question. That money that we make, does that go to pay down the debt that we encumbered for that particular site?
Mrs. Bergen? Anything that we receive goes into our anticipated revenues, and our anticipated revenues go to offset appropriations, and part of our appropriations is paying down debt.
Okay, that's a roundabout answer. I'd like to get a little bit more specific. I mean, I don't know how much the debt money is for Traders Cove. I know it was substantial. But I'm saying if we're making $204,000 and the mayor's always saying, I'd like to pay down debt as soon as possible, I'd rather not see it go into general treasury and pay off where the money is being derived from. I mean, is that possible? Or would it help?
We'll look into it. It's significant debt, so we do have a debt payment schedule that we're working on, and our revenues go towards that.
Okay. Again, kudos to the recreation director for a job well done. Again, when it goes, when the budget does go down, even though it's not a lot, it's always a good thing for the taxpayer. Now, for the police department, I'm going to start off by saying I also try to do my due diligence. I called the police chief. I was welcomed and went over a lot of questions that I'm not going to get into tonight to duplicate. I was satisfied with a lot of the answers. Again, we can always agree to disagree on certain things. One of them was overtime. When they changed the patrol schedule, we were going to derive X amount of dollars. We far exceeded it the first year. Totally thrilled about that. Not as much as it was before. I spoke to the chief. We went up $73,000 this year as compared to last year. Not that significant amount of money. While he has a lot of support here, those that are in charge, if they could just cut down on that overtime a little bit more, that would be greatly appreciated. As I said to the police chief also, the change in the patrol schedule, you can't put a dollar amount on everything. This gave policemen more time with their families, to do other things that possibly they couldn't do without the change in schedule. You can't put a dollar amount on that, and I think, again, I did talk to the chief about this, it increases morale. I think productivity increases. Again, you can't see that here, but I'm sure it definitely happens. So I do appreciate that. One thing that we spoke about, and I did get a follow-up, something that Ms. Bergen said to address somebody's question about the emergency management salary for $57,000. The chief did get back to me. The grant is only $7,000, so it's still $50,000 that we're paying out of $57,000. We mostly absorb that amount. Police vehicles, in the past, when we bought cars, sometimes we would encumber debt. We had an instance years ago where a number of cars that we bought, we were paying the Morris County Utilities Authority. Those cars were in the junkyard. We were still paying off those cars. Talking to the chief today, since it comes out of the budget, we pay cash up front. We don't absorb any debt. I think, again, that's well known for what the chief does. When we talked about emergency medical services, I was kind of around when this whole thing started, when we were going to make sure that the taxpayer or resident of Brick would never get a bill if his or her insurance didn't cover it. It still is that way. The chief turned around and said, you know, we don't have a problem with that. Something that he is working toward and trying to get is a paramedic program. I think whatever support all of you can do and give him, along with the administration, would go a long way, because that would add additional revenue. We wouldn't even have a slight deficit in that particular program, and I think it would serve the people of Brick a lot better, and they would be a lot safer if the chief could get what he needs and push whoever needs to be pushed to make sure that happens. So again, looking at the budget, we're not all happy at the same time. Again, the overtime could be addressed as I spoke to him today. I'm okay with all the rest that he proposed tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Anyone else on the budget?
Yes, I have one more question, Council President.
Okay. Anyone else from the public on the budget? And close public. Councilman Fosman.
Yeah. The transient slips. I know that you said they increased and everything. The voters that rent the 120 slips, I know there was talk about they'd like to get into that building that you have there, so because some of them stay over for the weekend, and maybe charging them for the yearly fee for that, and that might increase some money coming in.
Yeah, right now they do have access to the second floor, which is a private restroom area where there's showers and whatnot. So that's away from the public. And, you know, every slip customer that has spoken to me or Kevin seemed pretty satisfied on what we gave them access to.
The lounge that's upstairs, what's up on the third floor? Lounge?
Yes, on the third floor it's a
showers?
yeah, there is showers also.
Dryers?
And a washer and dryer, correct. And there are a couple slip customers that, you know, if they ask to use that washer and dryer, and Kevin or his staff is on site, they'll let them use those. And there's a fee to that, of course.
There is a fee? What
Yeah.
is the fee?
Kev, you have the exact number?
They charge the...
It's quarters. I'm going to
No,
say
not
like
the,
two-
not the machine.
Oh,
To get to the third floor, if we use the transient slips, and the transient slip pays $120 a day for his boat being there, and he has full access to that, the people that rent the regular slips at the marina, at the 120 people, and they want to stay the weekend on the boat, they don't have the showers, they want to go to the lounge up there, watch a little TV, is there a fee we could incorporate into that, even though that was for them to use that? I'm just...
yeah, I guess that's something
I don't know.
you could talk about.
Just an
and-
idea, and if they want to pay, let's say they want to pay $500 a year just to use that for the whole summer. I don't know, it's an idea.
Yeah, I know there was a grant that we received also, so I don't know if there's any.
Yeah, I don't know, just asking, just to tell you, put it on the radar,
Definitely look
maybe
into
do
it.
something into that.
Anything
That's
else?
all I have, that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on. Resolution 6-1, introduction of the 2019 municipal budget. Mayor? Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Chief.
Now, Council President, there seems to be a date that's wrong on this.
A date?
Yeah. It says Asbury Park is to issue March 29, 2018. See that on the top?
Sorry, my
You
mic
see it
wasn't
on
on.
the very top?
Oh, you're correct.
That's a typo, and I can make that
All right.
change.
Okay.
Just want to make that, be
Thank
aware of
you.
that.
Thank you, Council President Zapsik. Tonight, I present to the council my sixth budget as mayor of the Township of Brick. The budget presented to you is a continuation of the work we have been doing to make Town Hall a more fiscally conservative place and to reverse the rampant spending and tax increases that had marked the previous decade here in Brick Township. In the 10 prior budgets, prior to my first one, the total increase in spending was nearly $41 million, with an average annual increase of $4,086,038. Over this administration's first 6 budgets, total spending growth has been only $5.4 million, so a bit over the 10-year, and it's an annual average increase of less than $1 million, $905,000. Had the spending habits and policies of the previous decade continued at their pace, this year's budget would have been over $122 million. The budget I present tonight totals $103,832,368. I am proud that we have stabilized budget growth while continuing to provide the citizens of Brick the services they expect and deserve. We have also done this while making sure our police department has the manpower and resources they need to keep all of our citizens safe. I would love to stand here before you tonight and say that we have had no spending increases this year. However, the reality of operating a town this size is that absent wholesale cuts in services or in public safety, it is exceedingly difficult, if not impossible, to not have spending increases. What we have done is to try to keep those spending increases to a minimum and as low as possible. We have made every effort to fill positions in-house to keep new hires to a minimum. For instance, we promoted employees in our Public Works Department, Purchasing, Planning, Zoning, Information Technology, and Tax Assessor departments. A clear difference and change from what has been done in the decade before. This year we experienced increases in the cost of gasoline, pension contributions, and in the salary and wage budgets for dispatch, emergency medical services, and police. All of these services are 24/7 operations, and when we experience vacancies, we often need to fill those vacancies with overtime and shifts that are on overtime, and that creates unanticipated increases. The revenue plan I present you with tonight calls for an increase of $1,166,818 in the tax levy, which equals to under a penny on the tax rate. This would equate to an increase in municipal taxes of 51 cents a week for the average assessed home in Brick, which is $294,100. So what that means is if your house is worth $294,100, you would be paying 51 cents a week more. And if it's if it's less than $294, you pay less. If it's more than $294, you pay more. This year's budget uses $8,573,806 of surplus as a revenue. It leaves a balance of over $9.7 million. Every year we stress how important it is to have a healthy surplus balance. A healthy surplus balance shows the fiscal health of a community. It is not a savings account and shouldn't be dipped into to offset the amount to be raised by taxes. It's part of the budget that requires replenishment every single year, which is why fiscally sound municipalities such as Brick Township apply no more than half of their surplus towards the budget. The more we deplete, the more we need to raise in next year's budget. So it was less than a decade ago that the township was using 99% of their surplus to balance the budget. It was 2 years later that they had to ask the residents to vote for a large tax increase or lose services. I will never put the township in that position. I am proud that we have reversed that and brought fiscal conservatism back to Town Hall. Another priority of ours was to reduce the township debt. On the day I took office, the township's debt was $168 million, which was an increase of $86 million from 10 years earlier. Over the last 6 years since I've been mayor, we have lowered our debt by $22.9 million, and we will continue to work to reduce that debt. I am proud of the work of the township department and division heads who lead by example and practice fiscal responsibility every single day. We've heard from a few of them already, and we will hear from a few of them over the next couple council meetings. I also want to thank deeply our CFO for her hard work on this budget. I want to thank the council members who support this administration and who dedicate their time and resources to serving our residents. I want to thank our business administrator for all the hard work she puts in on the budget and for helping each and every day with any problems that the division and department heads have. Together we have created one of, if not the most fiscally conservative governing body in Brick Township history, and I would argue the most fiscally conservative government right now in the state of New Jersey. We have become the model for a more fiscally conservative, responsible, and stronger municipal government. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to formally adopting this budget later on in the spring.
Thank you, Mayor. Open to council for questions.
Yes, I have a question. If we have a capital surplus of $51,000, and that money, I understand, was supposed to be used to pay down debt, it's a surplus, could we use a portion of that to offset the 0.9% so taxpayers wouldn't be charged anything this year? Is that possible? Anybody answer that?
The capital budget?
It says the capital surplus total surplus was $3,051,000.
What are you looking at?
I'm referring it to some minutes that I received.
Business and finance minutes.
And that money came from the community disaster loan, that the $5 million we didn't have to pay back, so they were actually putting it aside for that just in case they did. So with that there, if we used a portion of that to $1,100,000 to put into your budget, we can use the rest of that to pay down debt, which would be about $2 million. And the taxpayers wouldn't have to be happy, because we're going to get hit by the school. Everybody knows we're going to get 2.5 million, 2.9 I read, by the school. So that's going to be on top of what we have here.
The good news is we put it in the budget already. Yep,
the 2.9? Because that's what I read today.
3.1, I believe it is.
I read 2.9 today in the paper.
I think you just said it was 3.1.
No.
He's talking about a capital surplus.
I'm just talking capital.
You wanted us to put 3.1 million of the surplus capital into the budget. I'm telling you.
No, I just said only $1 million of it, just to cover that 0.9%, and to use the rest to pay down the debt. Because there's $3,051,000.
It's already part of the budget. Yes.
Well, it says right here that, therefore, the CFO intends to use the capital surplus as revenue to pay off debt.
Right. That's what a budget does. It pays debt off. It raises your, has the salaries and the wages and the operating expenses.
But why can't you use a portion of that instead of paying off the debt? That was extra. That was money from the community disaster loan of $5 million. So if we have that extra money, we can use 1.1 million, so we wouldn't have to raise it. We have a 0% tax increase here, and the $2 million to pay off the rest of the debt. Is that possible?
I'd rather see our debt go down so we don't have to pay as much.
I'd rather
for our
have
debt.
zero for the taxpayers than pay $2 million towards the debts. That's $2
You're-
million.
You're going to pay it anyway. You're going to pay it on the other end then.
This was anticipated money because you got the loan forgiven.
Yes, we were
Mr.
very
Fowler
successful in
called
getting it
up
forgiven.
and you know what happened there. The first time you failed to get that. When Mr. Fowler, I called him. He called Maureen. I told him we failed the first time. And he got for Belmar over $3 million, and he got for another town another $1 million, because the paperwork has to be filled out really. You have to know what you're doing when you fill out the paperwork. And the town only gets two
Our
chances.
CFO did a great job and convinced the state
They did a
government
bad job. I'm saying
that
he helped.
not only
He
did she
helped
do
out.
our town wrong,
He
she
was-
did the entire state of New Jersey wrong. And I want to thank Maureen Laffey-Berg for protecting not only
I'm not saying
citizens
she
of our
did it wrong.
great township of Brick, but all the citizens of New
Chuck
Jersey.
Fowler was the man on that one there, let me tell you.
He filled out the form, yes.
But we have $3,051,000. Why can't we use 1.1 to cover the increase in our taxes instead of we pay zero and we pay $2 million in debt? That's all I'm asking. Why
All right,
can't
and
we
the
do
answer is it's already earmarked to pay off debt, and it's part of the budget. It's included in the
But we
budget.
didn't pass the budget yet. We could change it anytime we want, and nobody wants to do it.
Then our debt service will increase, and
all.
then we're paying it from the other pocket.
Hey,
So-
that was anticipated for that disaster loan, John. Please. That's what that money came from. It was all anticipated for, and you got it forgiven, and that's the extra. The town should benefit from that.
You might maybe
For
ask,
1 year, have zero. Hey, when you ran for mayor, you had a minus, and the next year you made it up. Come on.
that was, we, as a great job, fiscally conservative, council people and mayor, were able to get to that
I was
point.
there.
Yeah, that's what I said. I didn't say you weren't there. You should make an appointment with the CFO. She can explain this a little bit better for you so you understand.
It says, I'm reading what exactly was written here. It says there.
But you're not understanding the
CFO
minus and plus
intends to use
columns.
the capital surplus to pay off debt. So if we're going to use that extra money, spare money, we would come to a zero rate increase this year for our taxpayers. That's all I'm saying.
Please make an appointment with the CFO. She can explain it to you.
Anyone else?
Is this wrong then?
Have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman DeYoung, seconded by Councilman Halloran. This resolution tonight is simply to introduce the budget. It's not to pass the budget. The final passage will be on April 30th, and that's when the public hearing will be held. So roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung,
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo,
Yes.
Councilman Halloran,
Yes.
Vice President Crete,
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now moving on to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you. Resolution 7-1.
Recognize National Library Week, April 7th through the 13th.
Thank you. Council Vice President Crate.
Yes, this resolution recognizes National Library Week and all that libraries and librarians do in providing more opportunities for the community by delivering new services that connect closely with the needs of our residents.
Thank you. Resolution 7-2.
Authorize receipt of bids, janitorial services.
Thank you. Councilman Fosman.
Yes, this resolution authorizes the receipt of bids for janitorial services for the Municipal Complex, Civic Center, Department of Public Works, Senior Center, Drum Point's Complex Office, Cultural Arts Center, and the EMS Annex. A current 2-year contract will expire on May 31st, 2019, and was awarded to clean all the buildings, services, Lawrenceville. To date, we have spent approximately $135,000 under this contract.
Thank you. Resolution 7-3.
Authorize receipt of bids, Summerfest food vendors.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes, thank you. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids for vendors to provide food and refreshments during the 2019 Summerfest events. Last year, this bid for concession brought in $6,683 for this service.
Thank you. Resolution 7-4.
Authorize receipt of bids, beer and wine garden concessions.
Thank you. Councilman Mumalo.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids from vendors who currently have an
ABC license to provide beer and wine garden concession during the various 2019 events. Last year, the successful bidder paid the township $6,150 to provide the service.
Thank you. Resolution 7-5.
Authorize receipt of bids, fireworks exhibitions.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Thank you, Madam President. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids from vendors who currently have the appropriate licenses to provide aerial fireworks for the 2019 Summerfest and Fall Fest events. Last year, the township scheduled a total of 5 separate firework exhibitions, and the total cost to the township was $19,995.
Thank you. Resolution 7-6.
Authorize receipt of bids, mobile ice cream truck.
Thank you. Councilman Fosman.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids from vendors who currently have the appropriate certificates to provide a mobile ice cream truck to travel between Windward Beach and Traders Cove Marina for the 2019 summer season. Last year, the successful bid was $802 to the township to provide this service.
Thank you. Resolution 7-7.
Authorize receipt of bids, uniforms for various departments.
Mrs. Bergen.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids for uniforms for various departments. This bid covers purchase and delivery of T-shirts, hats, polo shirts, golf shirts, and sweatshirts for various programs such as the Recreation Basketball Leagues, Softball League, Summerfest, Lifeguard and Summer Camp Counselor T-shirts, etc. This bid is also used for purchasing department uniform shirts for Public Works, Tax Assessor, Code Enforcement, and others. The township has an approximate expenditure of $33,000 during the current 2-year contract period, which will expire on May 23, 2019, with DOT Designing and Keyport Army and Navy as our current vendors. In addition, Public Works Department has spent approximately $9,500 with Aramark Uniform Services since June 1, 2016, under a separate bid, which will now be integrated into this bid.
Thank you. Resolution 7-8.
Authorize receipt of bids, Normandy Beach outfall pipe replacement.
Thank you. Councilman Halloran, please.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids for the replacement of an outfall pipe in the Normandy Beach section of Brick. The pipe is failing and in need of replacement and is essential to the flow of water to prevent localized flooding.
Thank you. Resolution 7-9.
Authorize receipt of bids, Fall Fest food vendor.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes, thank you. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids from vendors to provide food and refreshments for the 2019 Fall Fest event. Last year, successful bidder paid the township $2,000 to provide this service.
Thank you. Resolution 7-10.
Authorize waiver of noise ordinance, BTMUA drilling project.
Thank you. Councilman Mumolo, please.
This resolution authorizes a waiver of the noise ordinance for the Brick Township Municipal Utilities Authority for the drilling of 2 observation wells on the BTMUA water treatment plant campus. The waiver is required to allow the contractor to drill these wells continuously for 24 hours per day. Each well should take approximately 16 days. The scheduled drilling and well development dates are from April 1st, 2019 through July 3rd, 2019. The BTMUA will provide advance notice to nearby residents. The contractor will erect a sound barrier to reduce the impact to neighboring residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 7-11.
Authorize execution of Memorandum of Understanding Homeland Security Grant.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Thank you, Madam President. This resolution authorizes the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the Township of Brick and the County of Ocean for the FY17 Homeland Security Grant as awarded to the county from the State of New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety. The county will reimburse the township an amount not to exceed $9,135 for the purchase of scuba equipment for the police department's water rescue/dive team.
Thank you. Resolution 7-12.
Authorize placement of tax liens for property cleanups.
Mrs. Bergen.
Thank you. Block 378.22, Lot 22, 125 Queen Anne Road, in the amount of $500.30. And 12B is for Block 378.42, Lot 4, 49 Bay Way, in the amount of $2,363.81.
Thank you. Resolution 7-13.
Authorize special events permit, Bike MS Coast to Coast.
Thank you. Councilman Halloran, please.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes a special events permit for the National MS Society to conduct a Bike MS Coast-to-Coast event scheduled for Saturday, May 18th, between the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. along Route 35, specifically the northbound and southbound bike lanes.
Thank you. Resolution 714.
Authorize special events permit, Church of Epiphany, Feast of the Assumption.
Council Vice President Crate, please.
This resolution authorizes a special events permit for the Epiphany Church Feast of the Assumption on August 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th at the church located on Thiel Road between the hours of 5 and 10 p.m.
Thank you. Resolution 715, bond releases and reductions. Madam Clerk.
Yes. Of 715A is a performance bond reduction for Susan Dudas on Maniloking Road, returning $18,577.40. 715B is an inspection fund release for Urban Edge Properties on Chambersbridge Road and Route 70 in the amount of $1,333.12. And 715C is an inspection fund release for French and Perello on Herbertsville Road in the amount of $1,589.78.
Thank you. Resolution 716, tax collector. Mrs. Bergen.
Thank you. 16A are tax overpayments for the years 2018 and 19 for a total amount of $4,813.95, and 16B is a redemption of a tax sale certificate.
Thank you. Resolution 717.
Authorize extension of the noise ordinance, Widener Construction Utility Work.
Thank you. Widener Construction is the contractor for White Castle, and they've requested a 2-week extension of the noise ordinance due to unforeseen delays with the county permits. That ends the consent agenda. Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Motion and a second.
Motion.
You pick. Motion by Councilman Fosman, second by Councilwoman DeYoung. Open to public for questions on the resolution.
He and I
I'm
were
sorry.
the only two that didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was Art.
I heard it come from two different directions, so it was Art. My apologies. Motion by Councilman Halloran, second by Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yeah, thanks.
Open to public for questions on the resolutions. Mr. Scott.
Two questions. One on 710. Councilman Mumolo brought up this observation well, and I did have a brief conversation with the BA. What is an observation well?
The MUA is required by the DEP to put in these wells. It's been going on for about 2 years. One is going to be, they're drilling at 1,600 feet, and the other is at 1,800 feet. Don't ask me the name of the aquifers. There are two different names.
Okay.
And what they're going to do, these are they're test wells to monitor the quality of the waters.
Okay, so they're not functioning now. They're going to be new wells.
New wells.
Okay, my question earlier was, why can't they do both of these simultaneously? So instead of it taking 8 weeks, it's only 4 weeks, because now you're getting close to the summer for the residents.
It is. Once they start drilling, they can't stop. So that's why it's going to take them 16 days to drill. So they have the equipment just to drill. It's something to do with the way they're drilling. They have to continue. They can't just stop at night or stop for even an hour. They have to continue. Well, I understand.
That's what I understand. Why can't they do both of them
at the same
together?
time? I don't know whether they have the equipment to do that or how it's set up. They've just requested that they do one at a time, because it's 1,600 feet down and 1,800 feet down. It's not like putting a well in your backyard.
No, I understand that. And looking at the sound barrier that they're going to use, it's going to create probably quite a bit of noise. So to go on for that period of time, I'm just saying, I don't even live in the neighborhood, but I'm just
Right, at the whole
saying.
time, it should be a total of 32 days of the noise, 16 per well. But the time frame that's open is a lot larger than just because of conditions and equipment and making sure everything's right. That's why they want a larger area.
Okay. My concern, because I do live in this neighborhood, 49 Bay Way, 712B. Way back, we had a resolution to demolish this property. We didn't move forward. I don't understand why we didn't move forward. I did talk to the business administrator about it. She had gotten an answer from an attorney saying that it was held up because of a a federal injunction. That went away a long time ago because the injunction was to stop the foreclosure. The foreclosure went through. Evidence of that was when we had the meeting that night to demolish this, the attorney showed up for the bank asking if we could hold off on it. There was really no need to hold off on it. This house is a mess. Now you turn around and you spent, which you're going to vote on, $2,363 to board up windows and this and that. Why are we procrastinating like that? Why didn't we knock it down when you went out, which was months and months and months ago?
Okay, wait.
Yes, they
If I can answer, there was litigation in federal court over this for quite a while. The homeowner tried to stop the
That is correct.
foreclosure from proceeding. As to your question, why are we taking this action tonight? This property is a fire hazard, it's unsafe. This is action we can take quickly. And this expenditure of $2,363 will be leaning against the property. The property is currently owned by the bank, so we will recoup that property because when the bank sells the property, that'll have to be paid back to the township. So this is action that can be taken quickly. It's necessary, deemed necessary because of the fire hazard and the unsafe condition of the structure. You're asking why can't we tear the house down? I'll give you the simple answer. That takes a lot longer, especially when there's litigation pending in federal court and this required quick action.
But there was no litigation pending. That litigation was over, Kevin, because the litigation was to stop the foreclosure. When he lost that, that was the end of that litigation. That's when the bank took it over. The bank proved that by being here to say, okay, can you hold off on knocking the house down? And just like you said, it's an unsafe situation. The house is deplorable to the neighbors. I don't like driving by, just like the house that was near me. It took 8 years. Again, I don't want to see that issue go on and on and on. The fact that we're going to get the money back, that's okay, but we shouldn't have had to spend the money originally. You had the foresight to go out and say, let's demolish the house. You voted yes, let's demolish the house, and then you did nothing.
Well, I wouldn't say. The foreclosure was pending for quite a while. It was interrupted by the federal court proceeding. And the federal court continued until sometime into last year, into 2018. So this has not been resolved for years. It was fairly recent that we can't take action when it's pending in federal court.
Okay, then why would you turn around and present something to the council to demolish a house that was in the middle of litigation? That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I'll answer it this way. We are not always notified because if we're not a party to that litigation, we don't always know about it. Typically what will happen is when we get up to do something, that's when we typically get notice, usually from the owner or the attorneys involved in litigation, come in quickly and say, you can't do that. Just like, if somebody files a bankruptcy, we get quick notification. We don't always know what's going on in the background of these properties. We try to find out as best we can, but sometimes there are steps that people can take to block things from happening on their property.
Kevin, with all due respect, you can't say you didn't know in this particular case. You have a property maintenance board with an attorney that you pay who knows what was going on. That's where some of the information came from. So that totally is not a good answer. Really, it's not.
No, that's an accurate answer. We don't always know. Sometimes states...
When you say we, you meaning the township?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes the states are put into court the day before, the day of something like this happening. It can happen very quickly. So say we always know what's going on. We don't always know. We're not parties often to those lawsuits.
Okay. My primary concern is we're going to get that answer. Again, that's not satisfactory to me, but I'm going to let it go. What are you going to do about moving forward to demolish this house? Period, the end. What are you going to do? Situation came up before, you voted for it, you were supposed to go out and get a bid. Nothing. Nothing. I just don't think it's fair to the taxpayer, and as the mayor says, we want to increase ratables. Let's do it.
Can I say that the council will take action on demolishing homes after the property maintenance board reviews it and issues an order, and that's because taking down a home on a piece of property is a difficult process that we have to get right. That's why we set up that board in part to do that. This house here, we're going to keep moving forward on it. This is scheduled to be heard at the next property maintenance board meeting, which I think is it later this month or is it next month? I know you say that, but
the property maintenance board deemed this property to be demolished. They did that.
Yeah.
They did that.
board has asked for an update on the injunction based on the information that we received from Mr. Bauer. So when next property maintenance board meeting, he will give us an update on the litigation, and if it's free and clear for us to proceed, the council has already decided that we could proceed with receiving bids for the demolition. That was over a year ago.
Right.
So they will have to reauthorize that.
Okay.
I said this, Mr. Scott, I understand your frustration, but it is not easy, it's intentionally not easy for a municipality of government to go onto private property and demolish a home. There are a lot of steps that need to be put into place.
I agree with
Notice
that.
the
I sat
property
on that board for a number of years, so I mean, I know how the system works, and I didn't take it lightly when you make that decision. If it's in a deplorable condition and it's not good for the neighborhood, that's when you move forward, and they did move forward. But that litigation saying that it got held up doesn't hold water as far as I'm concerned. And I'll go over those, those dates. But I'd like that, again, I will be at that property maintenance board. I'm sure Joanne will let me know when that will be. So let Mr. Bauer prove it to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the resolutions? Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
718.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $19,168,421.33.
Thank you. Open to council.
Yes, I have a few questions.
Councilman Fosman.
Page 4, it says Blue Star of New Jersey, salt rinse 35 gallons. I thought we had the truck, is that to wash trucks? Because I thought we had a company coming in and washing our trucks. It says salt rinse 35 gallons. I don't know what it is. Vehicle maintenance, chemicals and gas.
This is required for washing out the salt spreaders after a snowstorm, so it's not the same as the vehicle wash.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And page 5, it says senior transportation, October, we paid $6,000. Is that just to go to the VFW?
The buses also go to grocery stores and I believe a department store, Kohl's or something along those lines. The mall, also the mall, the mayor says.
And school buses are just being used. Now, I understand we do have the senior busing that the township wants to do. And how are we going to, on that subject, how many employees are we going to use for the senior busing? We only have one bus. I mean,
So we're going to have to, we're lucky enough to get a grant for one bus. The second bus we purchased, it's going to start June 1st, where we're busing our own seniors. And the awesome thing is it's going to have those wheelchair lifts, so that right now they're school buses. So if you're in a wheelchair or probably even a walker, you're not going to be able to get up onto the bus. You can't get on the buses. You have to find your own way to get to the senior services, to the doctors, to the shopping that we do, to food stores in the mall. But when we have our own buses, we'll have our own buses and we'll have our own 2 drivers here in the township, and it'll have the wheelchair lifts, so it'll open up the services to a lot more people.
and the drive, since you brought it up, the drivers, are they going to, who are they? Are they full-time guys, or are we going to, what are we doing with those?
We just have to see what the hours are. They're going to be our employees, either full-time or part-time.
And if you're going to use employees to drive the buses, are you going to replace those employees? Or are we going to use part-time employees to drive buses? So we don't have to pay the medical, we can get seniors to drive the buses.
We'll be researching that, figure out if it's going to be part-time or if it has to be full-time, depending on the routes, because now we might have a whole bunch of new people, because now we have this awesome service of having the wheelchairs and the walkers being able to use it as well. So we won't know until we know the actual users.
You know, it's a very odd, Mayor. And back in 2014, when I was Chair of Business and Finance, I brought this up and did a study on it. And it didn't come out of committee because Heather DeYoung and Susan Leidecker didn't let it come out of committee. Do you know that? I have that. And I did a study on how much money we could have saved. And we're paying $9,000 for October of 2018 to bus these people around. That's a lot of money. Over the years, the bus is only $75,000. We could have bought 3 buses back then, got part-time workers, and been doing it for 5 years. I don't know why everybody was against it back then. I don't know.
We started working on it in 2015. The administration,
14.
Administration was immediately in 2015, began working on it to get grants in order to have all the buses paid for, because we always like to save taxpayers' money. That's the whole reason of myself being mayor and most of the council people. If you want to spend the money, you can spend the money, of course. You can do that on anything. You could pave every single road in the town. It'll be $68 million, but you don't do that because you'd be financially conservative.
We're talking buses, $150,000 for 2 buses at a capital budget out of $8.5 million. That's what I'm talking. And we could have bused them seniors. We got seniors locked in their houses. They can't get out in their wheelchairs. They can't participate in everything. Meals on Wheels goes there and gives them meals, but they can't get out of their house. This way, with these buses back in 2014, we could have got them out of the houses and not let them sit there for 5 years.
You voted every single year to approve the capital budget every year, sir, and I never heard you bring that up in any meeting.
I got the minutes.
We'll go back and look at those meetings, those capital budgets. When you vote yes and do not bring that up at any
I
time?
brought it up. I couldn't get it out of the committee because Heather voted against it. She's the big senior person who votes against it.
So did you get this comment out of committee? Because you're bringing it up now. So you had that ability to do it every single capital budget that you voted on a first reading, on a second reading, never brought it up. Now we have a great grant that this business administrator, our grants writer,
you got one
worked
bus, John,
on.
but you could have did this 4 years ago, and nobody else wanted to do it.
And cost the taxpayers money, which I understand you like to do.
Please.
So I understand
John,
that. You've changed your ways. You're no longer
I talked to you
fiscally.
about this in 2014. You didn't want to do it. Please.
You're no longer fiscally conservative. I understand. Thank you.
For $150,000, you could have been.
Are there any more questions on the bill resolution?
Page 11. Skip 11. Let's. Oh yeah, 11. Sorry. Page 13. It's Dash Mechanical. They serviced the second floor in the new building on the marina, and it came out to $702. I thought that was a brand new building, and any equipment in there for heating would be under warranty.
Mrs. Bergen, I believe we asked this last council meeting, and John Lola looked at the warranty, and he said that this part in this particular issue was not covered.
You mean when you put in a furnace in someone's house, it's not covered for 5 years?
There was a particular...
I did that for a living. I know it is. There's even 10-year warranties on this equipment. Come on. Is that just labor, or is that material too?
The particular pump was not covered by warranty.
It's a brand new building. It's not covered under warranty. It's a page 32. It says Employees Assistance Program, Behavioral Health. Is that where we send the people that come in to get help, or is this for our employees that go there? For the Blue Heart Program, when the people come in to get help, if you're an alcoholic or you're a heroin addict, a lot of people are sent to behavioral health?
Okay. This is for our employees.
Oh, your employees, okay.
Correct.
Page 33, I brought this up last month. There was, looks like, Looks like $6,000 spent on disciplinary matters again. We spent thousands last month. There seems to be an ongoing problem with this. I mean, if we have disciplinary matters in the township as that much, it's on.
I can address that. You're referring to the fees for the Labor Council for disciplinary matters?
Yes.
During that time frame, there were 2 employees who were subject to disciplinary matters. Both of those matters have been resolved. One of the employees no longer works for the town, and the other one has been resolved satisfactorily. So that's what those fees were for.
We had that last month. Was this the same ones or somebody different?
I
don't know.
I think
I'm
the
not in the administration. I get the bills and I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to tell you, there are 2, they were the same disciplinary matters, and you should also know that most of the disciplinary matters are actually handled in-house without Labor Council's participation. However, when the employees come in with their attorneys, we need to have our Labor Council present. So that's what was going on here.
Kevin, you remember the email I sent you and asked you about Public Works, and what I asked was how many employees have been fired for using drugs there, and you said you can't. I don't ask them their names. I don't give a shit about their names. I just want to know how many employees there were, and you said you can't tell me. Why?
Sir, if you're still talking about this, these employees are not that, and the reason I don't disclose any of that information to anyone outside of the administration is that is sensitive personnel information that are for current employees, and frankly, they're entitled to their privacy when they're going through those difficulties. If discipline is warranted, if discipline is imposed, if treatment is warranted, treatment is imposed. We don't discuss that publicly or
I'm talking about
privately.
people who have been fired for using drugs at Public Works.
I understand what you're requesting,
Okay,
sir. My answer hasn't changed.
That's what I'm saying. They're no longer employees.
Sir, that does not change things. They're entitled to privacy rights for those reasons.
And page 39. It says Valpak of Jersey Coast advertising. What do we advertise in the value pack?
I can answer that. That is a buy-in brick, which we advertise. It's a 3-month buy, and it goes to homeowners. And from that, the Darren, who runs our program, gets probably about 150 people that request the buy-in brick card, and he then signs them up and already registered and sends them their buy-in brick card so they can start using it and getting rebates back on their third quarter taxes.
Very good. One second. Page 19, Grace Associates, Garden versus Brick. It says general legal matters. I don't know. Is that something you can tell me here, or you can tell me in private?
Garden versus Brick. Now that is a pending litigation. I believe that involves a tax lien where the tax lien holder is fighting with the township over whether or not they need to accept property when they discovered after the tax lien auction that there was some kind of defect or environmental contamination or with the property, and they don't want to accept it and they want their money back, and we're not giving them their money back because the tax liens are buyer beware. They buy the tax lien with all that goes along with it. So I think that's an important one for us to maintain. They sued the township, so we're defending ourselves.
Okay, very good. That's all I have on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from council?
Can I say
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes, I would just like to thank the mayor and Mrs. Bergen for taking the time out. I'm sorry, I know Mrs. Golden. that for answering all of my questions on this week's bills. because really we want to hear our questions from the residents and not sit up here and grandstand. Thank you.
I think the residents have a right to hear what I have to ask for.
Motion and a second to move the bill resolution.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, seconded by Council Vice President Crate. Open to public. Mr. Finelli. Okay. Okay, so no comments on the bill?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumolo.
Abstain, Meridian Occupational Health, yes to the rest.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
719, bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,643,594.45.
Thank you. Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Motion and second, please.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Councilwoman Pontoriero, second by Council Vice President Crate. Open to public for questions on the manual bill resolution. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 8, ordinance on second reading.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending the Township Code of the Township of Brick, Article 36, signs to delete Section 245-313C.
Thank you. Councilman Mumolo.
Yes, thank you. The sunset provision in Township Ordinance regulating the use of flags, streamers, and no more than 2 feathered flags expired on December 31st, 2018. The general regulations state that the use of flags, streamers, and no more than 2 feathered flags with a maximum height of 10 feet is prohibited other than for a period of 60 days from the date of opening a new establishment or the closing of an established business. Additional flags, streamers, and no more than 2 feathered flags within a maximum height of 10 feet shall be allowed 4 times a year thereafter for a period not to exceed 10 consecutive days, provided that a minimum of 30 calendar days has lapsed between promotional campaigns, and a permit has been obtained from the township along with a $30 fee. Land Use Committee recommended this amendment to be removed, to remove the sunset provision to make this ordinance, to make an ordinance that does not expire or need to be removed.
Thank you.
Renewed.
The motion and a second, please.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, seconded by Councilman Halloran. Open to council for comments or questions. Seeing none, close council. Open to the public for comments or questions. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes. We are now at public comment. Madam Clerk.
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Thank you. Ms. Briggs.
Melanie Briggs. At the last meeting, there were many comments flying here, there, and everywhere. It took me watching the meetings 5 times to catch some of the things, but I caught them. There was a comment about buying brick being illegal and people couldn't use it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Buying brick, you don't have to be a homeowner in Bricktown to get it. You fill it out as a leasing and you get a check at the end of the year. You don't have to live in Brick to get it. You fill out and you get a check at the end of the year. I think that's about as fair as you're ever going to get, that everybody's entitled to it. I live in Brick. I don't use 90% of the places, but I love Cloud 9 Donuts, and I use that one, and that's going to pay my taxes this year. So I'd like that person to understand it is not swayed that only certain people can use it. The other topic was the demolishing of the 5 houses. And again, it took me many times watching the meeting over and over until I caught a comment that was made. I think this person thinks that the town is demolishing houses because they got code enforcement fines for their grass was too high, or there was a junk car in the driveway. They don't understand that these houses are collapsing on themselves in some cases, or in complete disrepair. But I did a method which anybody can go on. I went on the tax assessor's, tax collector's site, and I looked up some of the houses. One house, their taxes were $34,000. I personally do not think Catholic Charities is going to fix that house. If you can afford $34,000 in taxes, fix your house or get rid of it. Another house was $30,000. So before people, and this is something I've said many times, I stand behind anybody to voice their opinion or fight for something, but know what you're fighting for. I'm not going to have anybody fix a house that people, I can't even imagine what the house is assessed at for $34,000 in taxes. We as a town are not going to come together as a family to fix that house. They're not going to come to fix my house. They're certainly not going to come to fix that house. And when she said about the gentleman in her development that couldn't get his TV taken out, I'm pretty sure there's a rule that township employees cannot go to somebody's house. So don't make it sound like we're ogres and they didn't care. Because when Greenbrier 1 had their flood, who was there to help those people? Township employees after hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next, please? Mr. Sluka?
Thank you. I'm going to read my letter dated March 19th to Mayor Ducey, Council President Zapsik, and the rest of the councilmen and the councilwoman. John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. The people that live in and around the destruction of the parkway know full well the health and environmental problems befallen Brick Township residents. The Turnpike Authority Commissioners continue to ignore the pleas of the people for a fair and just settlement in the matter concerning the health and well-being of the residents from the many communities surrounding the Garden State Parkway. More and more people are showing their displeasure, and not just from Brick Township, but other shore community residents and the visitors as well. It is time to stop this big government agency from harming all the state's residents. We all often feel frustrated by big government and feel nothing can be done, but it's not impossible and it's not too late. In fact, it's never too late. So many people are impacted, and although as council members and mayor, there is always pressing issues, this issue impacts all 75,000 residents of Brick and impacts hundreds of thousands of others who border the Garden State Parkway. This destruction causes a hardship on every resident of the town, the county, and the state. Look around the country and see what happened in Detroit, Cleveland, and Camden, where governments care more for the lobbyists and bureaucrats than their own citizens. Elected and non-elected local government officials need to look in the mirror and decide who they're responsible to. Is it the big business interests that pour money into political parties locally, statewide, and nationally, or is it the people who elected them? Is it the big government bureaucracies of the swamp that are ingrained in local, county, state, and federal governments, or is it the people, each of our local officials and administration, county officials, statewide representatives, and federal officials took an oath to protect? I have continued to memorialize to the facts that many times here before our local officials what hundreds of various studies have stated about the health impacts brought about by toxins spewing off into the lungs of our residents. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority's commissioners obviously don't care about our citizens, but we must ask if our local, county, statewide, and federal office holders care or not. Months ago, I asked each and every one of you to investigate for yourself if the toxins are impacting the lives of our citizens. Did you? I have no idea. I have asked each and every one of you to research for yourselves. I suggested that you don't take the word of lobbyists and benefactors of the Turnpike Authority. I've begged each and every one of you to examine and analyze the data that the thousands of studies have concluded or at least confirmed. I've asked every one of you to judge for yourselves, and if I and others like me have been lying to you, and I implore you to stand up before us today and every day and say that we're lying. If that's really the truth, that we are lying, but I know we're not. I beseech you not to sit on your hands and frown, smile, express displeasure with my statements, but either stand on the record and either say I am lying because you can honestly call me a liar, or state before the public that the actions of the Turnpike Authority Commissioners have caused COPD, asthma, autism, heart problems, and premature deaths. And now you will stand with the citizens and demand corrective action from the New Jersey Turnpike Authority Commissioners, and therefore then take legal action if it's not forthcoming on their own. A 14-foot noise pollution and safety wall along with shrubs, trees that have substantial density and height are needed in many areas of Brick Township, such as Evergreen Woods, near Town Hall, Brick High, Greenbrier, Briar Mills, Brick American Field, Birchwood Park, Lanes Mill School, and other areas where the toxins are harming our citizens, our seniors, our school children, all our residents, and all our workers. If you believe you haven't had enough time to work on correcting the problem and the people should just bide their time until you can get around to it, to acting for the citizens, this first paragraph was not written today and not written last month, but was written to Mayor Ducey and Council President Susan Lydecker in 2014. Don't you believe the people you represent have waited long enough for you to take real action? Thanks for your time. And now I found out from tonight why we have the police here at least. Thank you.
Ms. Spector.
Good evening, Michelle Spector, 808 Jenny in Brook, New Jersey. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice here. Several weeks ago, I wrote a letter, and Councilman Fosman wrote a letter to the constituent relations in the governor's office, and I didn't really hear anything back. So I called, and I got a real moron who happens to be the chief in that office, and he pretty much was very arrogant and pretty much just said, get a lawyer, and really refused to lift a finger to do anything else. So what I did was I went over his head and I contacted Mike Delamater, who is Murphy's interagency advisor. And he called me and he told me this isn't something he normally does, but he's going to look into it. And he said, I have a file here. And he has a file of the letters we sent from like 2013 on. Stephen sent, I sent, council sent. So he actually asked for he said he's not going to promise anything, but he asked for prices of wall and et cetera. So I'm hoping that he can actually come up with it. And I said, you know, I sent in the email and explained everything, how the Turnpike Authority will lie if you ask them any of these questions, and they'll act as if, you know, they went far and beyond for us. How that wasn't true and how through arbitrary and capricious reasons we were denied. And I also mentioned that if they, you know, that the governor sent a, he actually signed legislation about environmental justice, and I mentioned that we had none of it, and that we're suffering because of degradation of our environment. You know, and I was surprised because I sent the email and then I called, and and he called back like 20 to 5 on a Friday. I almost fell over. So you know, like I said, it's not something he normally does, but, you know, I'm trying to think out of the box here. So I'm hopeful with that. So it was a waste with the constituents. And the other thing was that, I guess it was about 3 weeks ago, that I noticed there were 3 vehicles parked by Cherrywood Farms barrier wall right in the parking lot. A friend brought this to my attention, and I went over there, and there was a Turnpike Authority car, truck, and van, and there was also a some kind of equipment. It was environmental. It was SGS Drilling and Geoprobe Division, West Creek, New Jersey, 609-294-1110. And I looked them up online, and they actually do, they drill the bores in the ground to determine porosity. And I guess I was wondering if anyone knew or could find out what their purpose was there, since it's like right in brick. Are they trying to determine if the basins were reliable, which of course, you know, they created a problem for which, you know, they created a problem which was no problem to begin with, and or they're trying to determine if who was at fault with flood that happened in August, the middle of August, and that several communities were flooded. Let me see, was there anything else? Yes, I don't know if that was part of the independent agency determination that was trying to determine who was at fault. So I was wondering if anybody could find out. I could email you the information, and so we could find if we could find out anything about it, because I'm just kind of curious.
Michelle, if you want to email me all the stuff you have,
Okay.
I'll
All right, I will. Thank you. And I think that was it, except, you know, that this has gone on for more than 6 years. And, you know, we really would like to get on with our lives and get some mitigation here. And it's not that we're not deserving of it and other communities aren't deserving of it. We've been fighting very hard. And we would really like to see something happen. So anytime we want to call the government's office, you know, and pester on our behalf, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Diana Diaz, 409 Raleigh Road. I would like to request minutes to the agenda for the next town council meeting on 2 separate items. The first item would be to include or discuss the medical marijuana inclusive to the ban, to the recreational, more specifically to the cultivation, manufacturing, and testing of medical marijuana. I know that the issue was brought up at the last town council meeting on March 12th, where the question was raised to Attorney Mr. Starkey on how it would be policed in the town. How would you know if a cultivation center for medical marijuana would not be delivering to recreational? And I think at the last town council meeting, you had indicated that this would be an issue that probably needs to be addressed with the council. So I'd like to include that in the next town council meeting. The second item I'd like to include on the agenda is basically the zoning for such a facility. So we already have the ban for recreational. We know that the ordinance, I think, is only good for 5 years, I believe. So if the ban were to get lifted at any point in time, yours nodding, no?
The ordinance is permanent.
It is permanent, so
Yes.
it couldn't, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess then, going back to medicinal marijuana, if there was a cultivation center that was to be built, I think, you know, we really need to discuss in terms of zoning, proper zoning for that in Brick. Because I have here 84 pages of a police report for the Garden State Dispensary in Woodbridge, in which there have been complaints of foul odors being emitted from the building, a man climbing over a grass berm to get to the dispensary from an adjacent parking lot and getting into an altercation with the security guard. There's also been bomb threat, and That's just to name a few of what was in this 84 page, and I just think that this type of facility should be nowhere near any residence. I think it poses a security threat, an environmental threat, and obviously a depreciation in home values. That's it.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Council President, would you be better off going to the planning board a meeting if there's anything going on with that, and bring your stuff there and read it to them?
This is my first attempt. I figured just to try and get it onto the agenda so it's something that can be discussed amongst the residents as well as the council, so that...
I believe if we ask the attorney, we're not allowed to speak on medical marijuana. Am I correct?
You're asking general questions, and general questions are appropriate to ask, can be asked. I think, Councilman Fosner, you're referring to specific land use applications, which should not be discussed here, but I don't think that was the topic.
No, that's not what I'm bringing up. I'm
Right.
just bringing up if we can add some minutes onto the next agenda to speak to two of these points. I think that the community should, you know, be present for something like this and discuss and see what's best for the town at that point. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Council members, thank you. My name is Bill Truex, 404 Adamston Road. A few things similar to what Diana brought up in regards to the recreational marijuana ban that you passed. As you know, the state did not pass their recreational use law, so we're back to it being illegal in New Jersey and the United States currently still. As you know, there's currently an application that's been moved from zoning to the Land Use Board for the 385 Adamston Road proposed marijuana growing facility. As you may or may not know, that property is zoned a RR1, which is rural residential. If the Land Use Board were to approve this unlicensed business, the use to their use, would that not also open all of the other R1 properties in town to that use as well? And a quick look at town maps show that there's going to be hundreds of other properties that could become unlicensed marijuana farms as well, because as you know, these people do not have a license by the state to operate a marijuana facility. I live within 200 feet of that proposal. I bought my house 7 years ago across the street from a bank. I have a 6- and 7-year-old whose bus stop is on the corner directly across the street from that. There's nearly a dozen children that live on our block. At this point, you should all know that I am a single issue voter, and this is my single issue. It's my neighbors also share this issue with me. We've already mobilized hundreds of people to this cause, and we're keeping thousands of others informed as well. Tonight, I brought with me some comments from the owners of the proposed facility to show that I believe their intended use for this facility is to open as a medical facility and then start selling recreationally. Just last week, we actually found on their Jersey Shore Therapeutic Healthcare website that they started a business selling CBD products using the 385 Adamston Road address. I actually brought with me screenshots that I'll give you after you can look at that shows what they're doing. As you know, they're not zoned to do that, so I don't know what the town is going to do about that. So I'd like to point a few things out from those pages. After I go through that, I'd like to read a couple quotes that the co-owners both made, one to the Asbury Park Press on March 7th, and one to the Brick Shore Beat on March 7th in regards to the marijuana proposal. I would also like to read some online quotes from the other co-owner that actually commented on the recreational ban. And I would like the town council to consider another ordinance in regards to marijuana dispensaries and medical marijuana dispensaries and medical marijuana production facilities in Bricktown, so that these facilities would not be located in a residential area, that they would only be allowed in an industrial or commercial zone property, and that the property be located at a minimum 1,000 feet away from the nearest residential zone. This is actually the screenshots from the page, if I could turn these in. You'll see on these, this is their actual website. It shows the address. I highlighted things that I thought were interesting. I circled in red the things that I thought you'd find interesting as far as what they're doing. This is from the Asbury Park Press on March 7th. I'm just going to read Ms. Davis's quotes in regards to an article named Brick Medical Marijuana Dispensary Scrapped. Owners still hope to grow cannabis. 46 seconds. Brick residents and medical marijuana patients are still going to buy weed, Ms. Davis said. They're still going to consume it in Brick. All the concerns they have about stone driving, they don't go away with this ban. By banning not just recreational dispensaries, but recreational marijuana growing facilities, Jersey Shore's THC proposed cultivation center, if approved, would be at a disadvantage to its competitors. And she said, every cultivator can flip the switch. Do you think it's a wise business decision for me to box myself out while every other cultivator can serve another market? That makes me not want to do business in this town. Please don't let them do business in this town. May I continue?
Please.
Thank you. This is from Brick Shore Beat. More quotes from Ms. Davis, the same day. This is in an article, Brick Medical Marijuana Dispensary polls application will seek cultivation facility only. She said, Ms. Davis, co-owner, said that there are 2 other local municipalities that would welcome the dispensary, which the grow house would serve. Clearly, we love this location for a multitude of reasons. We still want to have our cultivation center there. Adding that the level of opposition from neighboring residents was a factor in a decision to change the application. We have 2 other municipalities that would welcome the dispensary operation, so we felt that it would make the neighbors happy. They were scared about what kind of patients would be there. They were talking about crime traffic. If we remove this sales, they should really have no issue. That is incorrect. And then she goes on to say, that's what we are. We're a farm. Let's do our farming operation in Brick and sell it out of town. If she does open that as a farm, there will be no tax benefit to any of the residents or the town. In a post from Ms. Medlin, Karen Medlin, co-owner, on the Brick Residents Say No to Rezoning page, after our vote to ban recreational, she commented on the page, because of the upcoming state vote, that our ban is null and void vote, lots of wasted money. And then she went on to say to us, how much money are you prepared to spend to stop us? We have already spent $12,000 in legal fees, our own money trying to prevent this. So it's just, the instigation is there, and it's inappropriate, and we're doing our best. So we appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Finelli.
Couple questions bouncing all over. First of all, I have a new program I'm implementing. It's called Truth and Answers, and I'm implementing it in the school board, but I hope I don't have to implement it here. If you watched the last school board meeting, or if you were there, you'll understand my frustration in getting half answers or no answers to simple questions. So Truth and Answers is a big thing of mine. First of all, just for the attorney, I understand Mr. Scott's aggravation. As you said last meeting, you only knocked down 1 house so far in the whole township? 1 house?
And that was in the context of that's not a bad thing, but we don't want to spend public money unless we really have to.
Okay.
Typically, this process results in those private property owners or banks that take them over and doing it themselves. That's what we would greatly prefer.
We're talking how long since Sandy? 6 years?
But, yes, sir, we're not in the business of
I
knocking down
understand
private
that.
homes. We're in the
I
business
understand that, but if you live in an area that's got one of these houses in it, you want something done. Not a lot of words, not a lot of year after year after year.
And the law does not make it easy for us to do something. That's one of the problems.
Let me cover Mr. Fosman's comments first. As I understand what he was saying, you two can have your differences. I really don't care as long as you don't air them here. His question was, you had $3 million in this fund, and you chose to put that $3 million against paying down the debt. Portion was put into the budget? How much? Okay. I guess his question was, why didn't you take whatever money out of that budget, that excess money, and put it towards the township budget so you wouldn't have to raise the taxes at all? What he didn't say, and make Mr. Finelli smile.
And the answer was that our CFO would certainly prefer to provide that information, and she would be happy to do that.
Okay, I don't think that was the question.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was the question, and I don't think that's a good answer. Let me tell you why. All right? I think what Mr. Fosman was looking for as an answer, and certainly what I was looking for as an answer, was either we considered that and we decided not to do it, or we didn't consider it and we will look at that before we finalize the budget, because your answer was, well, it's already in the budget, but the budget's not approved, and he said that. So you could actually change the budget from here on out. So my answer would have been, if I was the mayor, we didn't look at that, and we will, or we did look at it, and we said, don't finish, we did look at it and said, it makes more sense, or we save more money, or you save more money by paying down the debt rather than lowering the taxes. Not see the CFO and have her explain it. You explain it, answer his question, because I want to hear the answer. Right?
Yeah, so the answer is, the CFO looked at it, she made this advice, and that's what we followed, because it was based on her sound fiscal advice. But what that advice is, I don't know, and to make an appointment, and it'll be best explained by the CFO, right?
No, you're the mayor. You're presenting the budget. Well, you're putting the answer.
I don't have an answer to that specific question, though.
You're putting the answer on the CFO to make the decision. When he asked you the question, as the mayor, and we're all your family members, you're presenting the budget. You are, not the CFO. You present the budget. Did you consider that? Yes or no? Will you consider it? Yes or no? You didn't answer either one of those questions. You still give me the same lame answer that you gave him talking to the CFO.
It was considered, and based upon the advice of the CFO, it was not followed.
Okay. You didn't say that till now. I did not say that.
I did.
You told him to see the CFO when you told me to see the CFO. Now you're saying something else. Understand my frustration?
I think I'm saying the same thing, so I don't understand your frustration. But
when you were discussing this with him, you didn't say it was considered. He asked you, did you consider it? And you didn't answer that question.
Obviously, I considered it.
And then he said,
we put it in the budget.
Yeah, you said it's in the budget, man.
Right. It's an obvious consideration.
It's not firm. You can take it out. You can change it.
But you don't think we look at every single option before we prepare a budget?
All I know is what you said, Mayor, and now you're saying something different.
Well, I think I'm saying the same thing, so let's agree to disagree, right?
Ask him if you think you're saying the same thing.
Let's ask everybody else, too. Let's take a poll.
No, don't take the poll up there. Take the poll out here.
Take it wherever you want.
And I just want to mention also, just a point of reference, I had to ask Councilman Fosman where he was looking at because I was unfamiliar with that in the presentation. So he was looking at minutes from a Business and Finance Committee meeting. So there were 3 council members in the discussion with the CFO when she outlined the budget. So it was, she outlined her strategy, the particulars of it would require probably her to give the explanation, but she had the meeting with 3 council members on Business and Finance and explained how she came up with the budget and what she was putting where and why. Okay. So there was discussion.
But you could have done it the other way. You could have not raised the taxes, but you chose not to.
Well,
there you go.
That is a question for the CFO, because she would explain.
Mayor, you are the mayor here.
Then no, the answer is no.
You're the one, she's not here presenting the budget, you are.
The answer is no.
No what?
No, I guess we couldn't have done it that way, because she's telling us fiscally it does not make sense to do that. I put trust in the CFO. I hired her for a reason. She does an awesome job. She's the one who has that experience. I do not have that experience as to maneuvering a $100 million budget around. I have experience in asking for advice, seeking advice, getting that advice, and taking that advice. Now, there's mayors in the past that didn't take the advice. Who cares? Buy everything. Buy buses, buy roads, buy dredging, buy everything.
I'm going to
All
say
right?
the last thing I'm going to say about this. You know what I'm hearing, Mayor? I'm hearing that the CFO made the decision, not you.
No, I make the
That's
decisions.
what I'm hearing.
I make all the decisions, sir.
Okay.
It's based upon information, though. I don't make them on my own because I don't have that much knowledge. Leave it to the professionals.
Let me go bring up another point. The police presence here. I brought that up before. And the answer I got was, well, the school board requested protection because they thought there was going to be a problem at the meeting. So you sent one officer over there as protection. That's what was there. Now, you didn't say here, when I asked the question, that you also thought there was going to be problems here, right? Yet you have 5 officers here. You see my dilemma now? I don't know why you have 5 officers here, and nobody answered the question of why you had 5 officers here, other than, well, you never know if there's going to be trouble.
So I think I can put a little perspective on that. So we asked our police department to basically do an assessment of Town Hall, not just our town council meetings, but Town Hall as a whole, as it operates during the day, council meetings, planning board meetings, all the public activity. We asked them to take a look at and do a security assessment to see what could we do to ensure the safety of the public that comes to this building every day, as well as our employees. They did an assessment. They made some recommendations for the functioning of Town Hall. If we have an emergency, we have captains on each floor. We did a drill. We do accountability so we know where everybody is at any given time should something happen. So that was the first thing that we did. The second thing we did was one of our police officers led a training for the council members, which started downstairs in the training room where he did some exercises with us. He gave us some education. We saw video. There was a lot of one-on-one, hands-on participation in that. And then we were brought up here to do an assessment of a real-time occurrence. What could possibly happen and how would we protect the people that were here from the meeting and protect ourselves? So we role-played an actual event where a faux shooter came in the room and we had to figure out how we were going to evacuate. Was the door working? Were the security buttons working? We role-played all of that. And out of that came a recommendation that one of the things we have to do is continue that training and do that training for all the public entity boards that meet here, including Board of Adjustment and Planning Board, and that their suggestion was that we have security in the room that matches the security that we offer in municipal court. So it's no more or no less than the exact staffing that is provided when our municipal court meets. Because the state has mandated that as a proper protocol. Armed officer up by the dais, armed officer in the room, security, special officers doing the screening. So this protocol matches what we do in municipal court. That's how we identify the number of officers based on a protocol that works for functioning meetings in this room.
What's the difference between here and the court?
The court is here. It's held in this room. There isn't really much of a difference. They screen the folks, the same officers, not the same people, but the same armed
There's a big
officers.
difference. Big difference. The court's here, you're dealing with criminals. You're not dealing with the criminals here.
But anyone on any
it's
given...
overkill. It's overkill because of what you think might happen.
Right,
But the taxpayers are paying for it. That's my thing. Did you ever once go to the taxpayer and say, you think we need more security here because you're going to have to pay for it? No.
I answered the question with how we
Okay.
came up with the number of officers. That's what
That's taxpayers' money that, again, you're spending on worst-case scenario, what might happen when you're dealing with a room full of criminals. That doesn't hold water. It's not apples and apples. It's apples and pears. It's not the same thing. So your protocol is court criminals, but not criminals here. When was the last time you got into an altercation here, and it's not state mandated?
There was an altercation here a couple of months ago. There was a physical altercation here. There was an altercation in the hallway in the last council
women
meeting. There was an altercation out in the parking lot 2 meetings ago.
It's taxpayer money that you're deciding to
There's
spend.
been 3 altercations in the past 6 months.
I said I'd get off it. I made my point. Another point, which just you saw tonight, right? I looked over all the budgets. First of all, we got to one thing. I get the presentation, but now I'm sitting through a presentation that I got today, and what was presented was changed. Now, I don't know when it got changed or why it got changed, but I would hope that if we come in and pick it up today, it's what we're going to hear, not got changed. And if things are changed, then you stand up here and say, oh, by the way, this changed from what you got, because you all knew I had this, but numbers were different, and I spent time looking at this, and they weren't the same. Another point, which, when I say truth and answers, right, I asked during the police presentation about the increase in 14,000 for ammunition, because the answer was, well, we think the price is going to go up, because it always does. Well, I can tell you it doesn't always go up. It's supply and demand. It goes up. It doesn't go always down. And I know a lot about it. I do a lot of shooting. What I don't do, my son does, and he's an expert. Last thing I did today was call him up and say, any reason why the cost of ammunition is going to go up? No, I've been to four of the shows. They got plenty of ammo. It's not going to go up. When I pushed the issue a little further, then the answer changed to was, well, we're going to actually do more shooting this year. Okay, well, if you're going to ask for more money because you're going to do more shooting, then put that in the presentation that that's the reason you want. Not that the price might go up, because I don't want to hear it might go up. You got money saved in a lot of places. If it goes up, you got it. Don't take more from the taxpayers. The last one is just for my information, because I'm going over my budget numbers, and something certainly don't sound right, and maybe you can clear it up for me. I went back to the mayor's start and looked at some numbers, because I always hear how we're doing, so I want to be knowledgeable. And I looked in January 2013 when the mayor started, and at that time we had 383 full-time employees, and according to your presentation last meeting, we have 422 full-time employees. So that's an increase of 39 employees since the mayor's been here. Does that sound about right?
Rosters. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm asking for an opportunity to double check the roster.
Well, I have both documentation here, so
Okay.
I know it's right. Because the first one, I'm reading right off the documentation, and the second one is from your presentation. What doesn't look right is back in 2013, it says we have 47 part-time employees, and now we have 140 part-time employees. That certainly doesn't sound right, an increase of 93 part-time employees. Is that possible?
That's a very flexible number based on at the time you get that roster. So was it, I didn't hear the early part, was it January of one year and January of the next year? Were you comparing those two numbers? Or did you take a look at those
it was January of when the mayor became mayor.
Which was 2014.
13.
14.
Whatever. It was when you became mayor. That was a number, right? It said 47 part-time employees that when he became mayor. Your presentation said 140 part-time employees. That was 2 weeks ago. And I have your presentation right here to back it up. So my question is that actually, could that actually be, or is there something not right with the numbers?
It's probably back, so two different philosophies. Ms. Bergen wasn't here in January of 2014. So at that time, and because what happens is with our part-time, they go up in the summer because we have lifeguards, we have badge checkers, we have the parks guys, the camp employees and all that. So now we talk about all those right up front, as opposed to back then, it was a snapshot of how many part-time employees we had in January. That was the philosophy of the people who were here before Ms. Bergen.
The difference probably is your seasonal people?
The seasonal part-timers, correct.
The seasonal part-timers weren't counted back then, but they were counted in your presentation. Yours actually said part-time seasonal.
But if you would have asked back then the way they did it, like if you asked in July, for example, or August, they would give you that, the number 140, 120, whatever it is. But in January, that's just the way he used to do it.
Okay. I would hope in the future that we include all the numbers all of the time.
That's what we've done ever since Ms. Bergen.
Hold on, let me check my list. Okay. One other question you might want to bounce off the police chief, because I forgot. If they use so much ammunition here, did they ever consider reloading their own ammunition for target practice? You save a lot of money doing that, and I do it myself, and my son does it. Oh, thank you very much, but would I be seasonal or part-time? Oh.
be happy to ask him.
Yeah, just bounce it off. I would say, just to be on the safe side, where there's really no difference being on the safe side, I would reload the ammunition for target practice, so if one of the rounds isn't perfect, it doesn't matter, versus if you're out on the street shooting a gun, you want to make sure that every round is perfect. You might save a lot of money. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Yes, sir.
Hello, Marcel Diaz, 409 Raleigh Road. When did it change that we had the police presence here at these council meetings? Just 3 weeks ago. 3 meetings ago. So.
No.
It happened before that.
So I want to say that I missed the first meeting, and that was the first one in February. Is that about right? So.
Because I hear about all the training and everything you guys go through, and I don't want to rehash this, but I sent you the video of how my wife and I were, verbally attacked while we were walking out of here. It stemmed from the hallway all the way out to the parking lot. And then while we were out there, you're talking about the training, you have individuals who are smoking a Schedule I drug and getting in their vehicles and driving away. And when the question's asked, well, why are they allowed to do that? There's no answer from the police. It doesn't matter that they have a medical marijuana card. They're not supposed to be operating a vehicle. So when we're talking about training, and we're talking about police presence, that night it didn't help us.
Probable cause requires them to see some activity while they're driving the vehicle that would cause them to get pulled over.
You have cameras out there, right?
Right.
Okay. That gentleman that I actually questioned, okay, not the police officer, the guy that was actually using the marijuana, almost hit another vehicle as he was leaving the parking lot.
Well, I'm sure the officer didn't see that.
He was standing right in front of me. I'm sure he did. If I saw it, he saw it. We were both looking in the same direction. So that's a concern. I understand that you have the police presence, and I support the police. I do, 100%. I'm a veteran, as I've stated many a times, and you want the security here when you need it, right? So I get it and I appreciate it. But if that's going to be the case, I'll be honest with you, I did not feel secure that night. And it took every ounce of discipline that I had to keep my hands in my pocket while we were being attacked. Because I knew what they were trying to do. I get it, But there should have been police there immediately to de-escalate that, and they weren't. So if we're going to have these police here, they got to do something when it happens. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I would just like to follow that up quickly. The police presence, it's directly related to this marijuana incident and the ongoing security concern that it's come about since this whole marijuana proposal has been brought to the council and to the zoning board. So I would just like to put that on the record that had this marijuana proposal not been here, or a different one had not been here, we would not be having these security concerns. That actually brought in security concerns even prior to this. It happened. It happened, Heather. It happened.
Actually, that's not true. We had discussions about adding security for a while. I've had a concern, a number of the council people have had a lot of concern over security. You see it every day on the news. We're in jeopardy here. There are people who are angry, who are disgruntled, and they get their way through the door when there's no security.
I understand that, but the incidents have actually transpired since.
Nobody is disputing that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. No, I agree. I agree. I think you should have the security, and I was very thankful that it's here. But the incidents did occur, and that's what I meant. I mean, I felt that the incidents...
There were actually 2 incidents
Prior
well
to
in
that?
advance of
Yeah,
this that
okay.
kind of prompted the whole discussion, one of which happened, what was last summer, right? Yeah. So,
No,
but thank you.
I agree with the security. I just,
Thank you.
in my observation, I haven't been here as much as
Thank you.
It was the February 26th meeting was the first one. 26th.
Okay. Ms. Briggs?
I don't want to belay a conversation or a subject, but this is something I've been thinking about. We've had all this publicity about marijuana, marijuana, marijuana. How come there was never a discussion about a methadone clinic opening? The what? Yes. And I'm real thrilled that we have 2,200 drug addicts brought into Brick every day. And I'm sure that a lot of businesses over there are real thrilled, and the people that bought or moved into the Brick apartments are real happy that they're diagonally across from a clinic that has packed parking lot and drug addicts just roaming around. Maybe I'm naive, but I'd rather have a marijuana person walking around than a heroin addict. Thank you. But I just would like to know why that was never, ever mentioned. I never heard the word, you know, it's going to open at 1:50? No. That bothers me that it was kept a big secret.
The state gives very little leeway into what you can and cannot ban from a town. So pawn shops, for one, is something you can do, which our town did years ago. The one we had was grandfathered in because it was there first. And the only other one that I'm aware of is marijuana. They gave the ability to, although they didn't pass the bill now, but they were going to give the ability to towns to ban it. That's the only two things. So, so marijuana is not a permitted use in our town, and it's also banned. It was banned by ordinance by the council. So those two things are in effect because it's allowed to be, because the state says you can do that. Other medical facilities, methadone clinics, things like that, the state didn't give us the ability to do anything. So it doesn't even go before, depending on where they want to build it. If it doesn't even go before a board because it's a permitted use. It's a medical use. What's that? Maybe it did go before one of our boards and nobody came out to oppose it. That I don't know. I just never heard anything about it, like you said. Yeah.
Trying to think in my mind if it was before one of the boards. I don't recall.
It's one of those things. If people don't oppose it, it doesn't really hit newspapers and stuff like that.
I don't know if it came before board either.
It might not come before a board.
Typically it would, but I don't know if that one did or not.
Mr. Diaz?
You said they would have to have probable cause. What would be that probable cause?
I don't want to speak for police officers, I'm not one, but I think they have to observe a swerving or some sort of erratic behavior.
Okay, so it's not actually consumption,
I
correct?
don't believe it's consumption.
Right. Correct,
Does anybody
because
know that answer?
you could be standing on your porch drinking a beer and get in your car and drive away. Unless you drive erratically,
Right.
then there's probable cause. But you're just actually consuming the alcohol legally on your property would not constitute.
What about consuming it in the vehicle?
That's a different law.
That's
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
that's a different law. I don't know how that
You
applies
can't.
to.
You can't. Actually, I have it. They're not supposed to be operating a motor vehicle at all under the influence. Okay, it states it right here.
Right, but the
And I can give
influence
this
is
to you.
determined by the behavior. That's the probable cause.
Yeah,
That's-
So would behavior, like my wife and I being attacked, the way they were acting in here, the way they were, moving around the parking lot, that wouldn't be enough behavior?
I'll tell you, sir, a probable cause is sometimes very difficult to determine, and that's why it's left often in the discretion of the police to determine. I understand you have a difference of opinion as to whether or not there was probable cause, and that's fair. That happens all the time. Doesn't mean the police are wrong. They do get a fairly wide range of judgment to make that decision if probable cause is present to justify an arrest. It's in every case it's different.
And that's where the concerns come. Because another probable cause would be a child or a family getting run over or an accident being caused. You leave that too wide of a spectrum to make that call. You know, I know if I was consuming a beer inside of a car, that would be enough probable cause for them to give me a field sobriety test. I think watching them consume a Schedule I drug would be enough to give them a field sobriety test. I don't know if all the police officers are trained, which I'm sure they're not. You know, you need a specialist to determine that. I get it. But that's where the problems come, and that's where the money's spent, and that's where we have the issues. I understand you guys passed the ban, thank you. But the medical side of it, in a lot of the bans that are out, and I've read over 48 of them, they attach the medical ban to it too for the cultivation side, on a lot of them. Not all, but on a lot of them, and I think you should consider that. All right? Thank you.
Anyone else from public? Seeing none, close public. Mrs. Bergen. Mayor?
Spoke earlier about the budget. So,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you. Mr. Starkey?
No, nothing for me, thank you.
Okay. Madam Secretary? Councilman Bosman?
Thank you. I got a couple questions before I get to my comments here. I was in my neighborhood, and some of the neighbors came up to me, and maybe through you to Joanne Bergen, or we could find out, in New York Avenue, they put in for a street light, and it was approved. It's been 3 months, and they asked me, they don't hear anything, so I told them I'd just ask. They just saw them tonight.
I will be happy to reply to those residents via email.
I asked him to email me. He didn't email me. He just told me about it.
Yeah, I'll just finish my sentence.
Okay.
So the last communication I had with them, I had looped in JCP&L and explained that we are not advised of the timeline, but I was able to confirm for them via email that the order had been put through by the township. JCP&L confirmed our order, but wouldn't commit to the timeline. So that's why
All right, I'll let them know.
I told them I would certainly try, but JCP&L was clear in their response to me, which is if we think to let you know, we will. The work orders go out. When the work gets done, it gets done. So it was very hard to get them to identify that timeline. But
all right. And one more, a guy on Rhode Island Avenue on my street, I remember we looked at it a long time ago, and I happened to be walking my dogs, and he says, oh, we want that light in now. So do we have papers for a petition, or they got to do the petition?
we typically ask them to do the petition.
Okay.
If somebody would like to draft it to ensure that it's something we would find acceptable, I'd be happy to take a look at it and provide them feedback before they go around and getting it signed.
Okay.
But we do ask them to take the lead on,
Right.
on drafting that.
I remember Ken was out there and he said, yeah, that'll fit right in there. I remember it a while back.
Yeah, so the first is, if they put in the request, we send out engineering. Engineering then makes the
They
determination.
already did that a long time ago.
Yeah, but I don't know that I have that. With New York Avenue, I had the paperwork from Ken Schaefer at the time I did the inspection. I have the street light request on my desk, and I don't have one there, so I would probably resend engineering.
I'll get you the address that it's where it is, okay?
And then
Thank
once
you.
the engineering inspector signs off that it's needed and there's a certain amount of feet in between existing lights, then we ask for the petition to be
Yes, I
completed
remember.
and submitted, and then we submit that on to JCP&L on their behalf.
All right, thank you. Also, in my neighborhood, the flooding on New York Avenue, I remember the pipes are undersized. They asked me if the town's going to do anything to upgrade their pipes so it won't happen again, because they flooded out that time of the rain. I don't know if the town's planning on doing anything with that. I'm not on that committee, I'm only in public, maybe that falls under public safety. No?
So,
In the Capitol? Good, what is
we
that?
don't even have any cost estimates put together for projects like that, because we'd have to look at, I mean, there's undersized pipes all over Brick Township. So what we do is we try to keep the system clear and the area clear so that the water can flow through the
Yeah, I
pipes,
know,
but to
I know, it's
go
nuts.
around town and
I
replace
know it was a
all-
freak storm, but it did flood out, and the guy's selling his house and back to me now. because they just don't want to take another chance.
Yeah, and that has happened, across town, so we
And
do our best to.
And we're on that subject, remember a couple of meetings ago I asked about Greenbrier 1 and the engineering report. Has that come in yet?
The county said they're still working on it.
Still? Okay. A couple more residents' questions here that I figured I'd bring in. The waterway between Old Pathmark and Van Zyl Road. There's that little bridge that goes over that waterway. Who's responsible for that waterway? I mean, we do Godfrey Lake. I mean, clean it up. Who's supposed to clean that, maintain that water? Should I ask engineering?
Generally, we try to clean what impacts the stormwater system for the town. So we try to maintain and keep clean anything that's part of the overall stormwater system, because that will greatly negatively impact our, our residents. So, but for the most part, they're state waterways or just natural waterways. And
Is that the owners of the Pathmark? Is
I
that the
don't
shopping
believe so.
center, or is it the other shopping center? Who
I think you're asking a property question. I think that cuts between the two
properties, right? It has a little bridge on it or something?
Yeah. I don't know if either one of them owns that. I just don't know. But I would generally you don't own the those waterways. But I'm not sure.
That was at a neighborhood watch meeting. Is what happened. That was question was asked, and I said I'd just ask, And also they complained about the stream behind the Burlington Coat Factory is filled with debris. Is there a natural stream back there? I don't know. Could we have somebody look at? I'll send you an email on it.
Okay, thank you.
And this way you can have somebody look at
Yeah,
it and
thank you.
determine what's wrong with that. I have here Public Works Committee minutes. These Public Work Committee minutes are July of 2018. Now these minutes weren't approved by me until I get the committee minutes. I was the chair of the committee back in 2018. I approved the minutes. They're sent to me, and I approved the minutes. And what I did is change the minutes because I didn't approve of them. And when I put in my minutes on that meeting, I thought that was the way it is because he had the clerk. The clerk is the person of records. So once she had it, I thought that was it. But in February of 2019, the Public Works new committee, a brand new committee, consisting of Councilwoman Crate, Councilwoman Heather DeYoung, Councilwoman Pontonero, Ken Mathis, and Joanne Bergen. They decided to change the minutes of my meeting back in July of 2018. When these minutes, when half these people weren't even there. And they're voting on a committee in 2019 to change minutes back in July of 2018. That is totally wrong. These people should not be able to change minutes that were written down and presented and gave to the clerk. Next, you'll be changing everything that's going on here. We'll just say, I don't believe the attorney. I don't believe these people over here. I don't like the minutes that came out of there. I think they're wrong. That's not what you do. And I'm telling the attorney that what was done here was illegal. And I want these minutes corrected. The February 26th of 2019, these minutes are wrong. They cannot change minutes from July of 2018. How do you go back and do that? Is that right, Councilman? Am I right? Can you go back and change the committee meeting minutes from a year ago?
I'm not a councilman, but can you give me the what you're referring to? Because I don't have that. The minutes.
I have a
I'll
copy.
take a look. Oh, you did.
Maybe I need an attorney on these minutes. That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
I'm not going to be bullied.
You are a bully.
Well, do you have an answer
Oh, you
for
ready
me?
for me?
Yeah,
Oh.
well, yeah, you have an answer for me? Can anybody change minutes?
No,
I was the chair of that committee. I approved the minutes. And
My-
I didn't approve those minutes back in July. I changed them. That was the approval. They
My-
changed them back.
My understanding was that the minutes were prepared and that they were prepared accurately, but you didn't approve them. You wanted to add something to the meeting
To the minutes.
And that was, I believe, was not approved until it came before the
I
committee.
gave it to the clerk. I gave that copy to the clerk at a meeting here, at the council. And I corrected them, I corrected that right there at this dais. I corrected the minutes.
I think what you're saying, change the minutes. I think that the people in the room said the minutes that were prepared were accurate. After those minutes were
They
prepared.
weren't accurate. I'm the chair. I got to approve it, and I didn't approve those minutes in the beginning.
The chair does not give you the right to dictate facts. It just gives you, no, it's a ministerial.
Counselor, I
act.
think I need an attorney then. That's what I think I need to come, that's what I think I'm going to do.
Okay. If you don't like my answer, that's fine.
No, it's wrong. You can't do that. You can't just go erroneously and change minutes from 6 months ago.
Well, I don't believe the minutes were
I'm
actually...
asking the counselor, you got to go through the council president.
Well, no,
It's
Councilman.
my council comments.
Well, you're asking,
Well, I thought you were asking people who were on the committee.
I
so
think
I'm
you're
fine.
asking, I'll say this, Councilman Fosman, I wasn't at this meeting you're talking about. There were people other than me at the meeting. Those people have a right to approve minutes that are accurate. And when people disagree with what you say the minutes are, then your minutes are not
There's only
automatically
3
approved.
people in July that was there. That was me, Joanne Bergen, Lisa Crate, and Ken Summers.
Yes.
And Ken Summers doesn't work here anymore.
To be fair, I wasn't there. I think Councilman Crate is actually going to address these minutes and how this came to be, that something was added to them after the fact.
I didn't approve the minutes. When you don't approve the minutes, I added what was approved. I'm the guy that approved the minutes, and I sent in the approval right here. This is what I approved.
The minutes are of a meeting of several people. You don't have the unilateral right to say what happened in that meeting.
I'm the chair. Lisa Crate was the only other councilwoman in there. That was it. There was no other council people in there. I was the chair. I have the authority to do that because I'm the chair, and I corrected the minutes.
You don't have the right to say
to
what
correct
happened
the
in
minutes?
the meeting when other people disagree with you. That's not accurate. That is not correct.
So they disagreed with me and changed the minutes.
They disagreed with what happened, what the accurate recitation of what happened in that meeting was.
No,
Yes,
you're
sir.
wrong. You're wrong, Kevin. That's not. You can't have other council people like Heather DeYoung say, hey, we don't like those minutes back in July. We're going to change them. Just because we don't like what they said, what really happened there. That's what happened.
But you can't have people who
And I'll
were at
read
the
it to you right now.
You can't have people who were at that meeting say what was accurate. The minutes that were originally prepared of that meeting
Is approved by the chair.
were said to be accurate by everyone else in the meeting except you. You wanted to
No, no.
add... Yes, that's
Joanne
correct.
can't approve the minutes.
I didn't say she approved it.
Ken can't approve it. She's the only one. She said that's not, you said that's not right? They're not accurate? Is that what you're saying? I'm referring to you.
Oh, she's allowed to speak now?
Councilwoman, Council Vice President.
You're the one who changed it. You're
Council
chair.
Vice President Crate.
Thank you. When referring to the minutes from the July 24th meeting, the people who were present at the time were Councilman Fosman, I was present, Ken Summers, and Joanne Bergen. Yes, Ken Summers is retired at this point. When we received the minutes of the meeting, I believe Joanne was taking notes at that meeting, so that's how the minutes were written out. It talked about every single item that we spoke about, and you didn't approve the minutes. You added an addendum, I guess, through an email specifically about what I think what we as a group, after reading, it was a personnel matter that was very specific, that yes, we talked about, but I disagree. I don't think it should have, that particular part should have been part of the minutes. I realize we have a disagreement of, you know, what should or should not be. I wouldn't have agreed with that, so if we voted on it, I would have said no. The personnel matter was mentioned in the original minutes that were written up by Ms. Bergen, just not to what I would consider, I guess you didn't like what she wrote. I thought what she wrote was accurate.
You didn't like what I wrote. That's
I
what it
did
is.
not,
I'll
and
read
that's
it right
why
now.
I didn't approve it.
Joanne Bergen, and here's what I wrote after the meeting. The meeting consisted of, it says personal matters. Committee discussed township drug policy.
I know
I
you
already read
submitted
this before.
I know you did, and
I'm going to
I
read it to the
didn't know
public
what you're
right
going to
here.
read.
I think the public should hear
and I
this.
cautioned you before that I think some things in here relate to personnel matters that you should not have been discussing publicly. I cautioned you that, then not to do it. I'm going to caution you again not to do it.
I'm not allowed to read what Joanne Bergen wrote and that I changed.
You're not reading what Joanne Bergen wrote. You're reading what you wrote.
That's right.
That's what
And
you're
that's
about
accurate.
to read.
And that's
what
very
I'm cautioning
accurate.
about, that one of the reasons I think this doesn't belong here because it concerns personnel matters that I don't think should be in public minutes. I don't think it should be publicly read. You're going to do that now, and I'm cautioning you that is inappropriate and a violation of employee rights.
You know, Kevin, I had Internal Affairs call me after that meeting.
That goes to the sensitivity of it. You made allegations against employees.
I did make allegations. An employee from Public Works came up to me and said, hey, somebody's dealing drugs at Public Works. So my protocol was to send it to Joanne Bergen, which I did. I gave it to her. I told her. Even at a PBA meeting dinner in February of last year, I told her. And now, all of a sudden, in July, I think that was 17, in July of 18, July 24th of 2018, they're saying, oh, now we're going to address this.
From the beginning of those allegations, Councilman Fosman, I wanted nothing more than to investigate it properly and pursue any and all action if it was warranted. That's all I wanted from the first time you made the allegation, and it's all I want up to today. I was unable to do that with the very limited information you gave me, which is exactly what you just said. That's not enough information to go on.
Okay, but they got caught drug dealing, and there's drug dealers in Public Works.
That's absolutely inaccurate. That's absolutely inaccurate. There has not ever been. I explained to you the policies.
They weren't selling it. They were taking it. They didn't come up to you and confess that
We
way.
have asked repeatedly for you to share additional information. If you weren't comfortable sharing it with me, then you could share it with an internal affairs investigator so that they could look into it. All we wanted was to find out the truth.
You wanted to find out the name of the person that came to me so you could admonish them.
That's a lie.
That's what you wanted to do.
It's not the truth. We're trying to find out the truth, and you're keeping us from finding out the truth.
That's why you put the police coming after me, to make me try to tell you who told me. And I'm not going to tell them. I'm not going to tell you. I don't have to tell you. When there's an anonymous, when there's an anonymous person, I will not give them up. Not a township person, not an employee, anybody that comes to me with something, I pass it to the administrator, and it's up to them to do their job. That's how it works. And the minutes, the committee minutes that I presented should still be there. You shouldn't change it because you want to find out who told me.
We want to find out the truth.
And
We've
that
always wanted to find out the truth.
Listen, no,
You're
you
not being helpful in
put the
finding out the
police
truth.
onto me. You put the police onto me. That's what you did. You tried to punish me with the police. That's what you did. Oh, and the police did call me up. The police did call me. And you know what? I told them the same thing. I'm not giving, they want to know who it was. I'm not telling them. It doesn't matter. People were relieved of their duties at Public Works for drugs. Bottom line. I'm not done. I got more questions. people from Jekyll Beach emailed me, and they were wondering about their dredging. The town said they would help them. I mean, it's been done in the past, and I would like to know what the town's going to do for them in this upcoming capital budget, if anything.
I believe Alyssa answered that email. We were all CC'd on it, and Alyssa had very, very clear and explained the expectations of what the residents should have.
That's not what I asked. I asked if the town's going to do something. They did it in the past. They helped other people in the town doing dredging. Are we going to do it for these people that can't use the lagoons? That's what they're asking for.
Yeah, we have the same offer. It goes town-wide. It's a very, very great dredging plan that we have. We do the surveying work and the permitting work for whatever lagoon area, neighborhood needs it. And then basically the homeowners are responsible for finding a drying out area, as well as paying for the actual dredge. So it's been a standard. I know back in the old days there was a lot more leeway of spending money on private property and things like that. That's changed now. We have to keep account of every single dollar. So there were certain mayors back in the day, some of them went to jail, who would do things for private owners, and that's not a philosophy that we're going to continue. But we will do as much as we can to help. We want to do the permitting and the survey because the state prefers for the town to take the lead on those things and have those costs borne. But the dewatering sites and the actual dredging are done by the residents. So it's the same offer that's been out there for all the different. There's probably five different dredge projects that have been requested so far, and they all know the same. Superior Lagoon's the one that seems to be moving the fastest.
That's a very good answer, Mayor. May I speak, Council President? I got one more question.
Sure.
Godfrey Lake. We don't own that lake, but we do take care of that lake. So how is that different from any dredging? We don't own it, but yet we take care of it. What's the difference there? It's a waterway.
We don't
Congratulations to the
we don't
student of
dredge.
the month. Thank you, Nancy, for her presentation. And thank you to Dan Santinello and Chief Riccio for your bunch of presentations. Thank you.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I want to thank Mr. Santinello and also Chief Riccio for very thorough and well thought out budget presentations, and also for taking the time that they did to answer questions both from council privately as well from the public here tonight. Everyone else have a great night, and I'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Councilwoman Dion.
Yes, thank you. Just a real quick buy-in brick update. RAC Excavating, who specialize in residential landscaping, are offering 10% off any mulching jobs. So if you're doing any kind of landscaping this spring, call RAC Excavating and you can get some money back on your taxes. And I just want to wish all the spring sports teams good luck and have a great season this year. I know a bunch of them are starting up very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Momolo.
Thank you, Council President. Congratulations to the students of the month. Thank Dan Santinello and the chief on their presentations. Great jobs. We talked a lot about, there was some questions brought up tonight concerning meeting minutes. I'm still requesting the meeting minutes from August 14th, 2018, which happened to be erased by somebody. Councilman, do you recall that? I believe you do. So when those minutes can vanish out of thin air, that would be great, because I would love to know what was transpired on that meeting. We did receive a letter several months ago. I think I missed the meeting after we did receive an anonymous letter concerning some remarks that were made by the councilman at the meeting, which was very concerning to me on what was made. So I would be very careful. You can. Yeah, no, I don't want, you're done. It's my turn. My turn, Councilman.
Councilman Momolo, please continue.
Thank you. And that's all I have to say this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Howard.
Thanks to Dan Santinello and the Chief Riccio for their great presentations. We appreciate it. We appreciate the time they take to prepare them, and certainly to answer all the questions that they did. And thank you to the students. Don't forget, April 13th is clean action on the beach at Brick Beach 1, Brick Beach 3. And that starts at 9 o'clock and goes till 12. I hope you get a chance to do that. Thank you.
Council Vice President Crate.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to start out by saying that I think, this is my humble opinion, we have a stellar Public Works Department who goes above and beyond every single day to keep this town as clean and well-oiled and running as it possibly can be, and under the leadership of Ken Mathis. I just want to say that I think there are great things on the horizon, and I can't say enough about all of the great things that our Public Works Department does for us. The next thing that I'd like to talk about really briefly is, mark your calendars, April 13th is our 9th annual Green Fair, and the theme for the Green Fair is Make One Change. It's taking place at Brick Township High School from 10 to 2, and there's exhibitors. The schools will have exhibits for the day. There are vendors, refreshments. There are prizes that we'll be giving out. I know that we have a lot of, like the mulch barrels, I think, are one of the prizes that we're giving out, which are really cool. Compost, that's right. I'm sorry. I know, I couldn't think of it. I'm sorry I didn't write it down. It's not my night. And there's going to be different information sessions. We're trying something new this year. They're going to have little breakout sessions in separate rooms where you can actually hear, because if you've ever been to the Green Fair, it's loud in the gym, and it's, you can hear the vendors and everything, but to actually hear a presentation would be very difficult. So we're going to have little breakout sessions as well. So the Barnegat Bay will be there to talk about the things that they do. There's going to be home energy, something about recycling. If you have your old computer or your TV that you're trying to get rid of, this is like the one time when you can bring your electronics down and get rid of them. So I would highly recommend you guys, if you have any of those things in your home that you're trying to get rid of, it's hard to get rid of those things now, you can bring them to the Green Fair and we'll take those things. And then the last thing that I'd like to talk about is we have a very special event that we're planning here in Brick. It's called the Brick Fallen Heroes celebration, and what we're doing is taking place at Windward Beach on Saturday, April 27th at 11 a.m. and we'll begin down at Hero Circle, down by the water, and we have the veterans groups that are involved, and we're inviting some local clergy and the Girl Scout troops and the Boy Scout troops, and we're essentially going to be celebrating the 18 fallen heroes of Brick. This spans from from soldiers that were killed during wartime, beginning in the Civil War, who were residents of Brick, and it spans all the way through Iraq. So we're going to take that day to celebrate, and we have some, a couple of special things that we'll be unveiling at that ceremony to honor those people who have served Brick so nobly. So I hope that everyone can come out. It's going to be a really lovely celebration, and we have all the veterans coming out to celebrate with us, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have one announcement this week. The Dart Prevention Coalition is a county, it's a nonprofit, but it's basically like BMAC, except it's for all of Ocean County. They're grant funded by the state, the federal government, offering a free program on Thursday, April 4th at OCC called Changing the Script. It's to address the overlap of youth sports injuries and early exposure to prescription opiates. So it's from 6 to 8 p.m. It features a performance of George Street Playhouse's educational production called Anytown. There will be a special appearance by two-time Super Bowl champion, former New York Giant David Deal. And there will also be athletic trainers there starting at 5 o'clock in the lobby to do free functional movement screenings for young athletes. It's all grant funded and it's free, so that's Thursday, April 4th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the J. and Linda Grunin Center for the Arts at Ocean County College. And other than that, our next meeting will be here in this room on Tuesday, April 9th at 7 p.m. Have motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye.